Chapter 287. Where did they curse Shorty Chio? Yun Jioga found it troublesome not being able to open her spirit eye. It was like being blind. See for yourself. A gray light flashed from Zishang's finger and landed on Yun Jioga's forehead. The space between her eyebrows heated up, and her vision turned gray. The Yin ghost was dark gray while the Lu sisters were faint yellow. That was the color of earth spirit roots. Shorty Chio and the other two all had black water spirit roots, but strangely there was a red paper doll stuck on their backs. Lu Tianer, who had been silent, was secretly forming seals to control the movements of the red paper dolls. The red paper doll raised its arm and Shorty Chio and the other two rushed towards the rank 2 Yin ghost. Lu Tianer took the chance to shout, "Go!" The two sisters immediately kept their bone spikes and ran. "Bitch, you dare to harm us." Shorty Chio was furious. He was trying to take advantage of them on the road, and the two sisters tried all kinds of ways to reject him. So they were trying to do something to him. Unfortunately, it was too late now. The rank 2 Yin ghost saw food and came to them automatically. There was no reason for it not to eat. It immediately led the Yin ghost forward and wrapped Shorty Chio and the other two into a gray ball. Then it opened its gray mouth and wrapped Shorty Chio's head. Shorty Chio and the other two lost their life force quickly, and they quickly turned into dried corpses that turned into dust. This was the cruelty of Yin corpse sect. There were countless of disciples dying here every day. After the rank 2 Yin ghost swallowed Shorty Chio and the other two, it continued to chase after the Lu sisters. Yun Jioga followed without hesitation. She planned to wait for the rank 2 Yin ghost to get rid of the Lu sisters before trying to spar with the rank 2 Yin ghost to see how good she was. The Lu sisters did not say a word and ran for their lives. Originally they cursed Shorty Chio because they wanted to hypnotize him when he was begging for sex. They did not expect to encounter the attack of the rank 2 Yin ghost. "Sister, the rank 2 Yin ghost is catching up." Lu Tianer quickly took out her white bone spike. She did not expect Shorty Chio and the other two to be so useless that they could not even stop a rank 2 Yin ghost. Fight. Lu Mei Er saw that she could not escape, so she stopped and fought alongside her sister. The corpse-controlling bell let out a ringing sound. 2 white bone spikes flew out of the inventory bag. The two sisters could only control 1 white bone spike each in front of Shorty Chio earlier. Now they could control 2 white bone spikes each. It was obvious that they had hidden their strength. 4 white bone spikes simultaneously pierced towards the level 2 Yin ghost. The level 2 Yin ghost was very cunning. It hid behind the low-level Yin ghost and did not confront the two sisters head-on. I didn't expect these two sisters to be so loyal. Yun Jioga had originally thought that the sisters would flee for their lives in the face of disaster. He never expected that they would fight side by side. At that moment, Zishang suddenly said to Yun Jioga, "There's something strange about these two sisters." "What's strange? Why couldn't she see it?" "That Lu Tianer's physique is very special. You can't see it because she used a secret technique to conceal it. This technique is not bad." As Zishang spoke, he suddenly flicked his finger and sent a stream of demonic power towards the level 2 Yin ghost. The level 2 Yin ghost was originally hiding behind the low-level Yin ghosts, ready to attack at any time. Once it was stimulated by Zishang's demonic power, it immediately charged forward as if it had been injected with chicken blood, instantly breaking through the sisters' blockade. "I'll cover you, you leave quickly." Lu Mei Er immediately blocked in front of Lu Tianer. The 2 white bone spikes shone brightly and turned into a meteor that pierced towards the level 2 Yin ghost. Unexpectedly, the level 2 Yin ghost did not dodge. After taking the 2 white bone spikes head-on, its gray arms suddenly expanded and hit Lu Meier's chest. Lu Mei Er staggered back 2 steps. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of her mouth. Her face was instantly shrouded in a layer of gray qi. That was the symptom of cold Yin qi entering her body. "Sister." Seeing that her sister was injured, Lu Tianer was so anxious that her eyes turned red. She gritted her teeth and took out a red paper doll from her storage bag. This red paper doll was very exquisitely cut. Its facial features were vivid and lifelike. It was simply a carving of Lu Tianer. Lu Tianer slapped the red paper doll onto her chest, and her eyes instantly turned red. Her hair stood up, and her nails grew like sharp black blades. The level 2 Yin ghost was quite afraid of the transformed Lu Tianer. It immediately summoned a low-level Yin ghost to block in front of it. Lu Tianer rushed forward. With a wave of her nails, she tore the low-level Yin ghosts to pieces. Then she fought with the level 2 Yin ghost. Unexpectedly, they were evenly matched. "Nine Yudao body?" Zishang's gray eyes flashed with surprise. This Lu Tianer's physique was completely out of his expectations. "Nine Yudao body? Isn't that the most suitable body for refining Yin corpses?" Yun Jioge was also shocked. This Lu Tiana herself has the 9 Yudao body. She actually came to the Yin Corpse sect to cultivate the Yin Corpse bone-controlling art. Isn't this the same as turning herself into a living corpse? Does Lu Tiana not know that I have the 9 Yudao body? But looking at the way she cursed me, it was clear that she knew about my special physique. Moreover, she was using it very well. While Yun Jioge was still in shock, Lu Tiana gradually fell into a disadvantage against the level 2 Yin ghost. After Lu Mei'er suppressed the death energy in her body, she immediately shook the corpse-controlling bell and shouted, "Don't fight it head-on. Its weakness is its head." Under her sister's command, Lu Tiana's attacks immediately became more flexible. Every move she made was aimed at the head of the level 2 Yin ghost. With Lu Mei'er's cooperation, the two sisters actually succeeded in taking out the soul crystal in the head of the level 2 Yin ghost. Without the soul crystal, the level 2 Yin ghost immediately turned into a cloud of dense Yin Qi. Lu Mei'er controlled the Yin Qi bottle and the cloud of Yin Qi flew into the bottle. Lu Mei'er put away the Yin Qi bottle and took out 2 gray Death Qi talismans. This Death Qi talisman could temporarily isolate the body's vitality. However, the time was very short. It was not enough time to leave the Yin Qi cemetery, so it was not very effective. Lu Mei'er put the Yin Qi talisman on herself and Lu Tiana. Then she pulled off the red paper man that had already lost its luster from Lu Tiana's chest. Lu Tiana's red eyes returned to their original state, and her hair that was standing on end also fell down. She weakly lay on the ground and pitifully shouted to Lu Mei'er, "Sister!" But Lu Mei'er unexpectedly slapped her and fiercely scolded, "How many times have I told you, you're not allowed to use this trick again? Do you want to die? If you want to die, then say it earlier. Why did I have to suffer that old man's torture for you?" While scolding her, Lu Mei'er also couldn't help but cry. She knew that her sister wanted to save her. She could only blame herself for not having the ability to protect her sister. "Sister, don't cry, I was wrong." Lu Tiana's eyes were also red. She reached out her hand to wipe away Lu Mei'er's tears. "Get up." Lu Mei'er quickly stopped crying. She said with red eyes, "Go back and cultivate." She wanted to become strong enough to trample on the people that bullied her sisters. Strong enough to kill that old monster and then go back to her uncle's family for revenge. At that time she would definitely refine them into Yin corpses. She would torture them day and night. She would make them suffer 1,000 times over. Chapter 288. Yun Jioge silently watched as the two sisters supported each other as they left. He felt that their story was very tragic. This Lu Tiana's 9 Hell Dao body is not bad. If it is refined into a Yin corpse, its power will double. Do you want to consider it? Zishang said. This 1,000-year-old corpse was after all a fake. It was not as useful to Yun Jioge as the real thing. You've only joined the Yin corpse sect for a few days, and you really think that you're an evil cultivator? Yun Jioge rolled his eyes at Zishang. She came here to save her life, not to refine Yin corpses. With such a good physique, don't you think it's a pity to leave it to the Yin corpse sect? Zishang felt that it would be a waste not to take it. Of course we can't leave it to them. Yun Jioge still viewed the Yin corpse sect as an enemy. Of course he couldn't do something like this that would increase the enemy's strength. But for her to refine Lu Tiana into a Yin corpse, just thinking about it made her feel ashamed. Since you don't want Lu Tiana, you might as well kill her. It was normal for Zishang to destroy what he couldn't obtain. What you are doing is no different from declaring your position. Yun Jioge knew that Zishang was not a good demon, but he did not expect him to be so evil. If he killed someone because of his own selfishness, sooner or later, he would become a devil who would not recognize his own family. You don't want it, but you don't want to give it to others. What do you want? Zishang felt that Yun Jioge was being unreasonable. The sisters are hiding very well now. If they are really exposed, we'll talk about it when the time comes. Yun Jioge decided to take one step at a time. If the Lu sisters' identities were really exposed, it wouldn't be too late for her to make a decision at that time. Looking at the two sisters, they were not willing to be someone else's Yin corpses. Yun Jioge strolled around the Yin energy cemetery for a while, then left with the Yin energy bottle. She handed over a bottle of Yin energy in exchange for 100 contribution points, which she used to pay half a month's rent. She did not immediately exchange the remaining Yin Qi for contribution points. Instead, she took it back to her bungalow and prepared to concoct pills. The Yin Qi pills provided by the Yin corpse sect were too low level. The absorption effect was very poor. As an alchemist, she could not tolerate herself taking such inferior pills for a long time, so she intended to refine her own Yin Qi pill. Right now, she was already at the second level of qi refining and could already operate the alchemy furnace. If he used it carefully, he could still refine a batch of yin energy pills. Yun Jioge took out the small bronze cauldron and asked Zishang to help him set up an array to conceal his spiritual power. Then he hid in the house and began to refine pills. She first asked Zishang to help her refine the yin qi into pure yin energy. The entire bottle was filled to the brim with yin qi, but in the end it was only a small cup of pure yin qi. Then she took out the yin spirit grass that she had collected before and began to process it. The yin spirit grass looked like a woman's hair. It was thin and soft. After burning it into ashes and mixing it with pure yin spirit grass, it could be placed into the alchemy furnace to be refined. The white bone fire in Yun Jioge's dantian had been squeezed into a corner by the 9-stage bone shatterer's poison, so he could only use his spiritual power to draw out a bit of it to make his alchemic fire. Fortunately, the time needed to refine the yin qi dan was very short, and her spiritual power was still enough to use. However, refining one furnace of yin qi dan was also very tiring for her. This furnace produced more than 300 yin energy pills, and the quality was also high, enough for her to eat for a long time. After Yun Jioge refined the yin energy pill, he went to the mission hall to accept the mission of killing yin ghosts. Then he bought a yin energy bottle that could absorb 500 yin ghosts and went to the yin energy cemetery to kill yin ghosts. This time her killing was very smooth. After a day, the 2 yin energy bottles were filled to the brim. When he came back at night, he took a look at the Lu sisters' house. Their door was still closed. They were probably still cultivating. Senior brother Yinjio, you're back. It seems that today's harvest is not bad. Little Fatty appeared at the door with a smile. Yun Jioge looked at him indifferently. Was he going to enter the house? Senior brother Yunjio, I have the latest news about the Yin Corpse sect. Do you want to buy some information? Little Fatty said quickly. Buy information? Yun Jioge stopped and looked at Little Fatty from head to toe. What information do you have to buy? Anything you want to hear. Little Fatty saw that he had a plan and immediately became spirited. He said eloquently, including the strategies of various missions, the various movements of the sect, the preferences of the various elders, the fastest way to enter the inner sect, the cultivation abilities of the senior brothers and sisters. Hearing this, Yun Jioge's heart suddenly moved. She had always wanted to find out about Su Junqing Yi Yunji Si Yue and the demon corpse. Maybe she could really get the information she wanted from this little fatty. However, she did not ask rashly. Instead, she asked, how do I know if your information is reliable or not? You don't have to worry about this. I have an uncle who is the steward of the inner sect. He has worked here for more than 50 years. There is nothing he doesn't know, Little Fatty said quickly. Your uncle is the steward of the inner sect. Why didn't you come in with a referral token? The steward of the inner sect was much higher than Ian Shirley, the steward of the outer sect. If Little Fatty wanted to come in, he could come in as he pleased. I wanted to see if there were any capable people coming to the Yin Corpse sect this year, so I went to participate in the preliminary selection. You don't say. There were a few good seedlings in this preliminary selection. I heard that there was a male disciple with a natural dark spirit root. He was directly taken in as a disciple by the sect master, Little Fatty said non-stop. This Little Fatty really loved to collect gossip. Yun Jioge trusted him a little more in her heart. She asked, if that's the case, then I'll buy some information from you. Okay, but should we go somewhere else to discuss business? Little Fatty said. People in their line of work were still very concerned about privacy. Come in. Yun Jioge opened the door and invited Little Fatty in. Little Fatty secretly looked around the room and found that there were no signs of anything being added. Usually, after the outer sect disciples were assigned a residence, they would add some things to make their living more comfortable. It seemed that this Yun Jio was a cultivation maniac. Yun Jioge did not care about Little Fatty's gaze. He directly asked, I want to ask about the Lu sisters next door. Do you sell them here? Senior brother Yun Jio, you have found the right person. I have the Lu sisters' measurements, their daily schedule and their hobbies. It's only 10 contribution points. Little Fatty's expression immediately became ambiguous. He revealed an expression that said, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not interested in these things. I want to know their background. The more detailed, the better, Yun Jioge said coldly. Little Fatty was stunned. His expression suddenly became serious. He said, the Lu sisters' background is not ordinary. It can be said to be our sect's secret. If you want to know, you need at least 500 contribution points. 500 contribution points? Yun Jioge frowned. This was even more expensive than the puppet cultivation method. Could it be that little Fatty knew that the two sisters had special constitutions, so he deliberately charged such a high price? Chapter 289. That's right. Little Fatty nodded solemnly, then chuckled. Actually, senior brother Yunjio doesn't have to do this. As long as you figure out the Lu sisters' hobbies when the time comes, you can capture them as well. Wouldn't it be easy to find out their background? Yunjioga said expressionlessly. You better pray that it's worth 500 contribution points. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. You really want to buy it? Little Fatty was shocked. The Lu sisters' background was indeed a secret, which was why he offered such a high price. Previously, many people had asked him about it, but once they heard the price, they were all scared away. Yes. Yunjioga took out the huge inchi bottle and threw it to Little Fatty. This inchi should be enough for 500 contribution points. Originally, she wanted to use the inchi to exchange for a bone-controlling technique, but since she found out about the Lu sisters' uniqueness, she felt that there was a need to understand their background. Little Fatty took the inchi bottle and checked it. Indeed, it was worth 500 contribution points. Since there was money to be paid, even the most confidential information could be revealed. Don't be fooled by the Lu sisters' weak appearance, they actually have a great background. Little Fatty stuttered and told him about the Lu sisters' background. It turned out that the two sisters came from the Lu family in the Black Fiend Sex territory. The Lu family had 2 foundation establishment cultivators overseeing it, and its power was one of the top in the area. Although the sisters' father was only at the great perfection of chi refinement, because he was the clan leader and the sisters' cultivation talent was outstanding, they were nurtured by the clan. Unfortunately, good times didn't last long. Their father died during a mission. After their uncle became the new clan leader, the sisters' status was not as good as before. The clan elders wanted them to take good care of them. When the time came, they would marry into other clans, which would be a great help. This was the usual style of large clans. As the main family's daughter, the two sisters would not marry into poor families. However, their uncle was not a good person. He received a bribe from an evil cultivator and actually secretly sent the two sisters out to be human cauldrons. The two sisters suffered greatly at the hands of that evil cultivator, and after escaping, they joined the Een Corpse sect. After Little Fatty finished speaking, he poured a cup of tea to moisten his throat. That's it. Yunjioga raised his eyebrows. What about the special physique? Senior brother Yunjio, the Lu sisters are fugitives. If their identities are leaked, they won't have a good ending. Isn't that confidential enough? Little Fatty's eyes widened. No matter who it was, they could use this secret to do whatever they wanted to the Lu sisters, ensuring that they wouldn't dare to make a sound. It was only because he saw that Yunjio did not seem like a lustful person that he sold this secret to her. Where did you get this secret? Well, she was surprised that the Lu sisters were fugitives. Our Een Corpse sect seems to accept disciples very casually, but we actually check very strictly. However, things like secrets should only be kept between you and me. It won't do either of us any good if we reveal it. Little Fatty's face was smiling, but his words carried a hint of threat. If he dared to sell such important information, he must have a backer. Yunjioga naturally wouldn't tell anyone about the Lu sisters' past. She was more curious about the Een Corpse sect's attitude. Since they know that the Lu sisters are fugitives, why did they still accept them? Aren't they afraid of trouble? The Lu family and that evil cultivator old monster aren't anything special. If he dares to come here to take people, then he will have to pay the corresponding price. To put it bluntly, the Een Corpse sect was doing business without capital and wanted to extort money from the Lu family and the evil cultivator old monster. Then do you know how the Lu sisters escaped from the evil hands of that old monster? Yunjioga was still quite curious about this. I heard that when the old monster was plucking them, they took the opportunity to cut his lower part and escaped. Little Fatty's face revealed a sour expression. Even a golden core ancestor couldn't take a cut on his lower part. These two sisters were indeed fierce. Although Yunjioga didn't have any asterisk, she could imagine that the pain must be unbearable. Seeing that senior brother Yunjio is so generous, I'll give you another piece of information. Little Fatty lowered his voice and said mysteriously, I heard that senior brother Su Junqing is very interested in this pair of sisters. If you like them, you have to keep an eye on them or else you'll get nothing. Su Junqing? Yunjioga narrowed her eyes. This name was really detestable. But since Little Fatty mentioned it, she also took the opportunity to ask, do you know the origin of this senior brother Su Junqing? Of course, 50 contribution points. Little Fatty stretched out a palm. Although this price was cheaper than the Lu sisters, Yunjioga didn't even have a single contribution point on hand, nor did she have any yin chi bottles to exchange. She thought about it and asked little fatty, "Do you want to exchange yin chi pills?" In the yin corpse sect, one yin chi pill could be exchanged for one contribution point. "You still have yin chi pills?" Little fatty was quite surprised. Usually, new disciples would take yin chi pills to break through to the first level of chi refinement. "I know an alchemist and I got some good yin chi pills from him." Yunjioga took out a small jade bottle. "Let me have a look." Little fatty took Yunjioga's yin chi pill and smelled it. His eyes immediately lit up. "This yin chi pill is not bad. One is worth 10 contribution points. Trade." Little fatty's price was quite reasonable. Yunjioga gave him 5 yin chi pills. Fatty rambled on and on about Su Juanqing's background. A disciple of the bloodthirsty sect. He sold little girls in the Thunder Country's Shangjing. He even colluded with the Thunder Country's former crown prince, Dongfang Jiaming. He wanted to kill the Medicine Refining Valley's Grandmaster Dongfang. In the end, the Spiritualist Alliance surrounded the Blood Cloud Peak. Yunjioga knew these things better than Little Fatty. What she wanted to know was what happened after he entered the Yin Corpse sect. Little Fatty rambled on and on, quickly talking about Su Juanqing entering the Yin Corpse sect. After Su Juanqing entered the Yin Corpse sect with Si Yue, he didn't wait for Si Yue to return. He used his beauty to hook up with Elder Mo Hua and successfully entered the Ink Flower Peak as an inner disciple. Following that, he successfully refined his own ink corpses. His strength greatly increased and his status in the Ink Flower Peak also rose along with it. "Wait a minute, you said he refined his own ink corpse?" Yunjioga frowned and asked, "Didn't they say that finding a suitable yin chi corpse is very difficult? He only joined the yin corpse sect for a few days, how did he find one?" "That's right, his luck was good. He brought back a female slave from the Blood Cloud Peak. He never thought she would have a yin spirit physique. She was very compatible with him, so he directly refined her." When Little Fatty said this, he couldn't help secretly sighing at Su Juanqing's good luck. He went under the tutelage of Elder Mo Hua. If he went under the tutelage of another male elder, this yin spirit physique woman would not have been his turn. He already knew that a yin spirit physique woman would be compatible with anyone. When Yunjioga heard the words Blood Cloud Peak female slave, her heart skipped a beat. She quickly asked, "Have you seen his yin corpse?" "My uncle has seen it. He said it was very beautiful. There was even a red mole between her eyebrows." Little Fatty's words made Yunjioga's heart sink. Chapter 290. Yunji, it had to be Yunji. Yunjioga's heart trembled, she never thought she would receive this kind of news. Zishang forcefully squeezed Yunjioga's hand and she came back to her senses. "Senior brother Yun, what's wrong?" Little Fatty's eyes kept looking at Yunjioga's face. It was a good thing that Yunjioga's poisoned face could not show any expression, otherwise Little Fatty would have seen it. "I just feel that this senior brother Su really has a good life." Yunjioga suppressed her anger and continued to ask, "You just said that senior brother Su Juanqing likes the Lu sisters. Does he have bad intentions towards them?" "I don't know about this, but it can't be anything good." It could be seen that Little Fatty was also very disdainful of this Su Juanqing. "Then if you have any news about Su Juanqing doing anything to the Lu sisters, we can discuss the price," Yunjioga logically said. "No problem." Little Fatty was very satisfied with another regular customer. Yunjioga actually wanted to ask about Si Yue, but she was afraid that asking too much would make Little Fatty suspicious, so she gave up. "If senior brother doesn't have anything else, then I'll leave first." Little Fatty was also very busy. After Yunjioga sent Little Fatty away, she closed the door and asked Zishang, "Do you think what he said was true? Did Su Juanqing really refine Yunji into a yin corpse?" "What he said just now was the truth." Zishang was hidden on the side, he had already used his demon eye to confirm that Little Fatty's news was true. That bastard Su Juanqing. It was not enough to harm Yunji like that, he even refined her into a yin corpse. Not killing him was simply intolerable. Right now Su Juanqing is in the limelight of the yin corpse sect, it is too risky for you to find him for revenge. Zishang calmly said. He brought Yunjioga to the yin corpse sect to cultivate and expel the poison, everything else had to be put aside. "I know." Yunjioga forcefully closed her eyes and when she opened them, she had already calmed down. Cultivation was the most important thing. The most important thing for her right now was to go to the Yin Chi cemetery to collect Yin Chi and refine the Yin Chi pill. The further she went, the worse the Yin Chi pill would be. At that time she would have to refine the Yin Chi pill. This Yin gathering pill required the 3 nether flower and Yin moths. The flowers and plants of 3 nether grew in the inner area of the Yin Energy Cemetery. It was not a problem for her to sneak in and pick them with the help of the skeleton monkey. However, the Yin moths resided in the Moth Valley of the Yin Energy Cemetery. One person could not catch many of them, so he had to cooperate with others. It seemed that he needed to change his cold and eccentric persona and find some reliable people to cooperate with. Fortunately, Yun Jioge was only at the 3rd level of Qi refinement. There was still some time before he could advance to the 5th level, so he could take his time to search. The next day Yun Jioge went out to kill Yin ghosts again. When he returned to hand in his mission, he happened to see Lu Mei being entangled by Broom Chen and his gang. Little Beauty, Shorty Chiu and his gang are all dead. You should hurry up and find someone to rely on. Otherwise, how are you going to maintain your pretty face? Broom Chen said with a smile. The disciples behind him had become much stronger. Shorty Chiu's subordinates had already switched sides and joined his camp. Among the outer sect disciples, whoever had the bigger fist had the right to speak. If it was a normal day, Lu Mei wouldn't mind entering Broom Chen's camp to flatter him. But she was not in the mood right now. Ever since her little sister used the 9 nether ghost body, her situation had not been good. The cold Yin energy in her body had gathered in her body and could not be released. She did not dare ask someone to see her, so she could only stay by her side day and night. Her entire person was extremely irritable. Now seeing Broom Chen's disgusting face, she was even more annoyed. She directly scolded him, "Scram, don't cause trouble in front of this ant. Smelly whore, don't be so shameless. Brothers, go and teach her how to be a person." Broom Chen flew into a rage out of humiliation. He called out to his subordinates to teach Lu Mei a lesson. The surrounding disciples silently walked away. No one wanted to get involved in this muddy water. Although the Yin Corps sect did not allow fighting on the surface, if the law enforcement team did not see it, no one would care. Lu Mei touched her storage bag, wanting to take out the corpse controlling Bell and Broom Chen. At this time a gentle voice rang out, "What are you doing? Don't you know fighting is forbidden in the sect?" Following that, Su Juanqing's handsome face appeared in front of everyone. Senior Su misunderstood. "We were just chatting. Isn't that right, junior sister Lu?" Broom Chen warned Lu Mei. "This ant has nothing to talk about with you." Lu Mei did not put him in her eyes at all. Broom Chen's face immediately became ugly. "Didn't you hear junior sister Lu's words? Why aren't you scramming?" Su Juanqing was clearly standing on Lu Mei's side. Yes. Broom Chen was powerful among the outer disciples. But in front of Su Juanqing, an inner disciple, he was nothing. He immediately tucked his tail between his legs. He brought his subordinates and left. "Junior sister Lu, are you all right?" Su Juanqing gently looked at Lu Mei. "Many thanks to Senior Su for helping me out." Lu Mei gratefully smiled. "It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. I heard your sister was injured. Is it serious? Do you want me to take a look?" Su Juanqing enthusiastically asked. Lu Mei's face paled when she heard this. She shook her head and refused. "Many thanks for Senior Su's concern. My sister's injury is no longer a problem. I still have a task to hand in, so I won't disturb Senior Su." After saying that, she hurriedly walked into the task hall. Su Juanqing looked at Lu Mei's slim figure. His eyes darkened, but he did not chase after her. Instead he turned around and left. "Chase after her." Zishang whispered into Yun Jioge's ear. He knew that Yun Jioge really wanted to kill Su Juanqing. Although she could not do it now, she could still find out some information. Zishang's words were exactly what Yun Jioge wanted. She immediately concealed herself and followed behind Su Juanqing. She did not expect Su Juanqing to actually go find Broom Chen. "Looks like you've been doing well recently." Su Juanqing's attitude was very casual. From his tone, it was clear that he was acquainted with Broom Chen. Broom Chen's face was filled with a flattering smile. He said in an obsequious manner, "Many thanks to Senior Su for helping me get rid of Shorty Chiu. Now the second peak is our territory. Don't worry, I will definitely help you get the Lu sisters. Do well, I won't mistreat you." Su Juanqing nodded in satisfaction. His foundation in the corpse sect was too weak. He had always wanted to rope in his own forces. It just so happened that this Broom Chen was relying on him. He used a little trick to lure out a level 2 Yin ghost from the inner circle to help him get rid of his opponent, Shorty Chiu. However, Broom Chen was still a bit useless. He kept saying that he would help him get the Lu sisters, but there was no progress until now. Although Su Juanqing cultivated the bewitching art, it was not good to use it on the Lu sisters. Otherwise, those senior brothers and sisters who did not like him would definitely fiercely sue him. Although the corpse sect's rules were very loose, publicly murdering a fellow sect disciple would still be heavily punished. Of course, if you secretly murdered someone, it was another matter as long as no one found out. Chapter 291. Yunjioge looked at this scene from afar. She really wanted to punch Su Junqing. This scumbag was really despicable and shameless. He would harm women wherever he went. Originally, Yunjioge treated the Lu sisters as enemies. But now she felt that they could be partners and fight against Su Junqing together. My king, what do you think I should do to win over those two sisters? Yunjioge humbly asked Zishang for advice. She wasn't good at picking up girls. First, tell them that you already know their identity as female slaves and their 9 hell ghost body. Second, give them some benefits. Let them know that they will have meat to eat if they follow you. Finally, use them to fight against Su Junqing. Zishang explained. Isn't that too direct? Yunjioge originally wanted to start off as friends with the Lu sisters. With their experience, it's better to be direct. Zishang had a look of listen to me. Makes sense. Yunjioge nodded. She didn't have the time or the mood to talk about feelings with the Lu sisters. When the time comes, you can show them your true self. They will know that you have no ill intentions towards them. Zishang was very confident in his acting as a 1,000-year-old corpse. Even 10 9 hell Taoist bodies couldn't compare. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yunjioge's attitude was very perfunctory. She felt that she was fine now. She didn't want to let Zishang out and cause trouble at all. It'll be too late. Zishang was very unhappy with Yunjioge's attitude. Yunjioge ignored him. She went back to the bungalow and knocked on the Lu sisters' door. Who is it? Lu Meier's voice sounded. I Yunjioge have something to discuss with you. Yunjioge said calmly. I don't have time right now. We'll talk tomorrow. Lu Meier's tone sounded very perfunctory. No, I want to say it now. If you don't come out, don't blame me for barging in. Yunjioge's attitude was very firm. The door opened very quickly. Lu Meier's beautiful face appeared from the gap. She said impatiently, if you have something to say it quickly. I already know your background and your sister's body. Before Yunjioge could finish, he was pulled into the room by Lu Meier. A white bone spear hung in the air and aimed straight at Yunjioge's face. You can't kill me. Yunjioge's attitude was firm. Zishang was standing behind Lu Meier. Lu Meier's eyes were bloodshot and her aura was exploding, as if she wanted to swallow Yunjioge whole. Sister, let him come in to talk. Lu Tianer's voice was heard along with the sound of banging. Little sister. Lu Meier couldn't be bothered to confront Yunjioge. She hurriedly entered the inner room. Yunjioge followed her into the room and saw Lu Tianer lying on the floor, struggling to get up with the help of the bed. You're already like this, why are you still struggling? Lu Meier quickly went over to help Lu Tianer up. Lu Tianer's face was particularly ugly. Her face was ashen and her eyes were red. Her vitality was also very weak. This was the side effect of using the Netherworld Dao body. If he used it a few more times, her vitality would be completely cut off and she would become a living corpse. Put her on the bed. I have a way to suck out the cold energy from her body. After saying that, Yunjioge brought out the Thunderfire needle. I don't need your fake kindness. Lu Meier glared at Yunjioge fiercely. It was obvious that she didn't believe her words. She's already like this. If we don't treat her, I'm afraid that the entire Yin Corpse sect will know about her body constitution. Yunjioge wasn't afraid that Lu Meier wouldn't give in. Sister, let's just treat a dead horse like a living horse. Lu Tianer said weakly. Only then did Lu Meier carry Lu Tianer back to the bed. Then she guarded by the side and stared at Yunjioge like she was looking at a pervert. Yunjioge didn't mind. He first checked Lu Tianer's pulse and found that it was so weak that he couldn't feel it. Her situation was very dangerous. Although she couldn't open her spiritual eye, she could still use other methods to check the situation in Lu Tianer's body. Later, I will send a stream of Yin energy into your body to check. Don't resist. Yunjioge said solemnly. And? Lu Tianer nodded. Yunjioge then released a stream of Yin energy into her pulse. She carefully checked the situation of her meridians and memorized the blocked areas. After she finished checking, she took out the Thunderfire needle and started to use her acupuncture technique. Streaks of red light landed on Lu Tianer's blocked meridians, leaving countless densely packed needle holes. Then, countless grayish-black water droplets seeped out of the needle holes. Lu Tianer's complexion started to improve. Her grayish-white lips also had some color. After Yunjioge kept the needle, he said, try to circulate a big cycle. Lu Tian'er immediately sat cross-legged and circulated her technique. The grayish-black water droplets turned into mist and surged out, covering her body. Lu Mei'er was extremely nervous and quickly asked Yun Jioge, "What's going on?" "Good situation," Yun Jioge said indifferently. Lu Tian'er quickly finished circulating her technique. Her complexion instantly returned to normal. She looked like nothing had happened. "Brother Yunjio, you're so amazing." Lu Tian'er's eyes lit up as she looked at Yun Jioge and asked, "Such amazing acupuncture technique. Where did you learn it from?" Yun Jioge didn't answer Lu Tian'er's question. Instead, he said, "I came to find you guys to discuss a deal." "What deal?" Lu Mei'er asked with a calm face. "Of course it's a deal that's beneficial to you. Don't worry. I'm not interested in refining you into Yin corpses. However, your cultivation is too low right now. Let's talk about it when your cultivation is higher." Although Yun Jioge wanted to rope in the Lu sisters, he couldn't immediately tell them his goal. Otherwise he would have nowhere to cry if they sold him out. Lu Mei'er scrutinized Yun Jioge. Unfortunately, his demonic face didn't have any expression, so she couldn't see anything. "Brother Yun Jioge, you saved me. You're my benefactor. I'll do anything you want me to do," Lu Tian'er said naively. "Don't be silly. Be careful that you don't know you'll be sold," Lu Mei'er scolded. "Brother Yun Jioge isn't that kind of person." Lu Tian'er pouted and said with a bit of grievance. The sisters echoed each other and acted very well. Unfortunately, Yun Jioge didn't fall for it. "Tomorrow wait for me at the Yinchi Cemetery's entrance." Yun Jioge threw down these words and left. Lu Tian'er pretended to be in a daze as she watched Yun Jioge leave. When he disappeared and the door closed, the expression in her eyes changed. She asked Lu Mei'er seriously, "Sister, what do you think?" "I can't see through this Yun Jioge. However, since he knows your secret, we can't let him live," Lu Mei'er said ruthlessly. She didn't believe that Yun Jioge wasn't interested in her sister's special constitution. Chapter 292. Then we have to prepare tomorrow. Lu Tian'er's current appearance did not have the slightest bit of cuteness. Her ruthlessness was not inferior to her sister. Zishang heard the conversation between the two sisters and immediately said to Yun Jioge with schadenfreude, "Those two sisters are preparing to get rid of you in the Yinchi cemetery tomorrow." "What are you laughing at? Aren't you afraid that your mouth will go crooked?" Yun Jioge was extremely depressed. Did she really have to introduce Zishang, this beast? "Wash your neck and wait, this sovereign will not help you." Zishang smiled and patted Yun Jioge's shoulder. "Little guy, you deserve it for being perfunctory with this sovereign." Yun Jioge was also worried that she would fail miserably tomorrow, so after carefully checking the storage bag, she let out the Xianyin white bone monkey to practice. In this period of time, she realized that this Xianyin white bone monkey was quite intelligent. Although it could not speak, the soul fire in its eyes was very lively and could represent all kinds of emotions. For example, it liked to go to the Yinchi cemetery the most. Every time it went there to kill Yin ghosts, its soul fire would jump very fiercely. But once it disintegrated into white bones and put into a belt, it would look like it had nothing to live for. "Little monkey, if you perform well tomorrow, Big Sister will refine something good for you to eat." Yun Jioge stated her condition. She realized that if this Xianyin white bone monkey could automatically cooperate, then its attack power would be much stronger. The Xianyin white bone monkey stood there blankly. Its soul fire did not have any reaction, as if it did not understand what Yun Jioge meant. "You have not tasted the Yinchi water yet, right? Come. Yun Jioge took out a Yinchi bottle, condensed the Yinchi inside into water, and dissolved the Yinchi Dan in it. Then she dipped a brush in the water and rubbed it on the Xianyin white bone monkey's head. The Xianyin white bone monkey's soul fire immediately soared. Its two small arms could not help but move upwards. It was very obvious that it liked the Yinchi water. "You like it, right? Work hard tomorrow, Big Sister will make sure you are full." Yun Jioge squinted her eyes and laughed treacherously. If it was full now, how would it work tomorrow? How could the little white bone monkey be Yun Jioge's opponent? Its nimble fire expanded and contracted as if it was nodding. "Beast, you won't even let the white bone monkey go." Zishang finally found a chance to ridicule Yun Jioge. It was rare that Yun Jioge did not retort. As long as it was useful, then so be it. The next morning, Yun Jioge arrived at the entrance of the Yin Energy Cemetery. The Lu sisters were already waiting there. As usual, Lu Mei'er put on a dark face and nodded coldly at her. Lu Tian'er continued to act innocent as she greeted Yun Jioge innocently. "Good morning, brother Yun Jio. Come with me to kill the evil ghost and we will divide the Yinchi equally." Yun Jioga had the same attitude towards the two sisters, expressionless. Don't worry, brother Yunjio can give me as much as you want. Lu Tian'er's eyes curved into a smile. The girl next door's charming appearance was indeed very easy to gain the favor of men. Unfortunately, Yun Jioga was a transvestite disguised as a man. He ignored Lu Tian'er's cute act and walked into the Yinchi cemetery first. The Lu sisters glanced at each other and followed him in. The Yin Energy Cemetery was still bone-piercingly cold. Low-level evil ghosts were floating everywhere, and when they saw Yun Jioga and the other two enter, they immediately surged forward. Lu Tian'er and Lu Mei-er took out two white bone spears and made a defensive posture. However, the white bone spears were very close to Yun Jioga, and they could basically stab Yun Jioga in the chest with a backhand. Yun Jioga did not care. He took out a small bag and threw it down, shouting, "Come out, little monkey." Thin white bones flew out of the small bag and formed the shape of a little monkey with a big head. Brother Yunjio is too amazing. You have your own white bone puppet so quickly. But this little monkey is too cute. Lu Tian'er implied that cuteness could not be eaten. You don't need to defend, just focus on killing the evil ghosts. Yun Jioga pinched his fingers and drew the Yin Chi from the little white bone to the three of them. The Yin ghosts immediately stopped their attacks. However, the Yin Chi distributed among the three of them was not enough. The Yin Chi still floated out faintly, causing the evil ghosts to circle around them. The Lu sisters did not expect such a situation. They originally wanted to take advantage of the chaos to kill Yun Jioga the moment the evil ghosts rushed up, but now it seemed that it was not feasible. Brother Yunjio, this little monkey is so powerful, how did you refine it? Lu Tian'er could not help but ask. If she and her sister could also have such a white bone monkey, they would not have to sell their bodies everywhere to find cultivation resources. This is a mystic Yin white bone monkey that I found by chance. Yun Jioga's tone was very calm, as if he was very proud, but he did not say anything. Mystic Yin white bone monkey? Lu Tian'er's eyes widened. This thing was an evil treasure. She did not expect Yun Jioga to be able to get such a good thing. Lu Meier's fiery gaze turned to the white bone monkey, and a white bone spear in the Qingquan bag quietly emerged. Sister, I don't have enough Yin Chi bottles, give it to me. Lu Tian'er suddenly said to Lu Mei-er, but her eyes were filled with disapproval. Now was not the time to make a move. Okay. Lu Meier immediately sobered up, and the white bone spear quietly returned to the storage bag. The two sisters quickly changed their strategy and concentrated on fighting the Yin ghosts. After all, the Yin Chi was good stuff. Yun Jioga also commanded the white bone spear to kill the Yin ghosts. Unexpectedly, after the white bone monkey finished absorbing the Yin ghosts, it opened its mouth and spat out a pure Yin Chi at Yun Jioga's Yin Chi bottle. The Lu sisters were dumbfounded. Being able to kill and take this white bone monkey was simply a treasure. Yun Jioga was also very surprised. One must know that the white bone monkey was only concerned about eating and never paid attention to her. It seemed like the Yin Chi feast last night made it wake up. After all, the refined Yin Chi was much more delicious than these low-level Yin ghosts. Yun Jioga put away the white bone spear and concentrated on collecting the Yin Chi. Soon he filled a big bottle. Let's rest for a while. Yun Jioga saw the Lu sisters were panting, so he decided to let them rest first. Okay. Lu Tian'er was also tired to the point that her face was a little pale. She had just recovered from a serious illness, and after fighting with the Yin ghosts for so long, she couldn't hold on anymore. She staggered a little and fell toward Yun Jioga. However, Yun Jioga dodged Lu Tian'er, then grabbed her right hand and raised it high. Lu Tian'er's right hand was holding a red paper doll. On it, there was a human figure drawn with ink which was very similar to Yun Jioga. Seeing that her sister's curse failed, Lu Mei-er immediately drove the two white bone spears to stab Yun Jioga's chest. Lu Tian'er was also a ruthless person. She took out the red paper doll that she had prepared and patted it on her body. Immediately, she activated the 9 Yu Dao body with red eyes and black hair. It was obvious that she was going to fight with Yun Jioga today. Chapter 293. Zay, I miscalculated. Yun Jioga secretly sighed at his bad luck. He had revealed the white bone monkey to let them see his aura, but he never thought that it would cause them to covet him. It really was not good to show off one's wealth. Yun Jioga cursed in his heart, but his hands moved very quickly. Ringing the corpse control bell, the white bone spike flew out to block Lu Meier's attack. Then he sent the white bone monkey to deal with Lu Tian'er. The white bone monkey shook its big head, making kacha-kacha sounds as it walked towards Lu Tian'er. After taking 2 steps, it was sent flying by Lu Tian'er's kick. The little skeleton fell to the ground and the big head rolled into the sand, burying itself in the ground. Little monkey. Yunjioga's heart tightened, wanting to call it back. At this time, two yin ghosts floated by. The little monkey immediately raised its head, its soul flame happily swam, opening its big mouth to eat the yin ghosts. Not to mention helping Yunjioga, it didn't even care about its broken little skeleton, burying its big head in the sand as it began to eat. Yunjioga finally saw it clearly. This white-bone monkey was a glutton. Wanting to rely on it to fight was too hard. If you want the senior's help, then ask me. Zishang stood behind Yunjioga, his gray eyes filled with ridicule. Yunjioga wanted to refuse, but seeing Lu Tiana's long black nails in front of her, she could only helplessly give in. Great King, I beg you. Only then did Zishang reveal himself. He lazily raised his hand and shot out a gray yin chi that sent Lu Tiana flying. Lu Tiana's body flew back, slamming into Lu Mei Air, the two sisters rolling into a ball. Who are you? Lu Mei Air looked at the beautiful gray-eyed man next to Yunjioga in shock. She felt like she was dreaming. Otherwise, how could there be such a perfect man, appearing in such a strange way? Lu Tiana shivered as she shrank beside Lu Mei Air. She was now in a half-ghost body. Her intuition was very sharp. She felt from the bottom of her heart that this beautiful man in front of her was very dangerous. She couldn't provoke him. This is my yin corpse with a blood contract. Yunjioga introduced without any expression. Yin corpse. Lu Tiana's eyes opened wide in disbelief. She found that this gray-haired beautiful man did not have a single trace of life on him. His pair of cold gray eyes made her feel like she was falling into an ice cave. That's right, he is a 1,000-year-old corpse, so I have no interest in you. Yunjioga waved his hand and the red paper person flew into his hand. This red paper person was filled with a thick smell of blood. The red paint was all made from blood. Was the person drawn by the brush exuded a gloomy and evil aura, making her dizzy just by looking at it. No wonder Shorty Chio and the others fell for it. The Lu sisters were indeed skilled. Senior brother Yunjio, I have absolutely no intention of harming you. We made this red paper man for fun. Lumiere lied through her teeth. Do you think I'm an idiot? Yunjioga's eyes were unkind. These two sisters really needed a lesson. Brother Yunjioga, if you want to blame someone, then blame me. I thought you had bad intentions towards my little sister, so I encouraged her to help me deal with you. Lu Mei Air immediately kneeled down and begged for mercy. Brother Yunjioga, it's all my fault. I forced my big sister to help me deal with you. Lu Tianer took off the red paper and returned to her original appearance, kneeling on the ground and crying. Shut up, I'll let you go this time, but if there's a next time, don't blame me for selling you to the Yin Corp sex elders. I believe they will be very interested in you. Yunjioga burned the red paper person on the spot. Thank you, brother. The Lu sisters said with gratitude. Get up, do a good job in the future and I won't mistreat you. Yunjioga gave them a big stick and began to give out dates. Thank you, brother. Us two sisters will be loyal to you in the future. The Lu sisters said as they helped each other up from the ground. Then they obediently walked to Yunjioga's side. Let's stop here for today. Yunjioga saw that most of the yin chi had been collected and the Lu sisters had been subdued, so he planned to return home. Yes. The Lu sisters nodded obediently and then secretly glanced at Zishang. They were wondering why they didn't have the luck to meet such a 1,000-year-old corpse. Zishang didn't respond to their gazes. Let's go. Yunjioga turned around and called out to Zishang, but a strange light flashed in Zishang's eyes. Then he carried Yunjioga horizontally and quickly disappeared in front of the Lu sisters. The Lu sisters looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. However, they didn't dare to leave on their own. They surrounded the white skeleton monkey and killed the yin ghosts while waiting for Yunjioga to return. What are you doing? Yunjioga was shocked. Why didn't Zishang follow the script? Why did he suddenly go crazy? I suddenly realized that the effects of dual cultivation in this yin energy graveyard are much better. Zishang quickly brought Yunjioga to a withered tree that was so wide that 5 people could wrap their arms around it. There was a big hole in the withered tree and it was quite spacious inside. The two of them could stand and turn around without being affected. This place is not bad, right? Zishang found this tree hole last time. At that time he felt that dual cultivation with Yunjioga would be very enjoyable. No matter how good it is, it can't be so sudden. Yunjioga finally understood how the words, lust clouded the heart, were written. Dual cultivation is a big deal. Of course, we should take advantage of the right time and place. Zishang said seriously. Bullsh*T, this place is so dirty and there are insects everywhere. I don't want to dual cultivate here. Yunjioga felt itchy just looking at the tree hole. Itchy is it? I'll help you scratch it. Zishang smiled and reached out to pull Yunjioga's belt. Damn you. Yunjioga was no match for Zishang and was quickly raped. The two of them started dual cultivating in the tree hole more smoothly than in the bungalow. Their spiritual power grew quickly, and their dantian's meridians became stronger. It was clear that Zishang's words were not entirely teasing. However, Yunjioga was still angry in his heart, so he purposely let out moans and groans as his palms caressed Zishang's muscular body. Do you have to do this? Zishang was very uncomfortable. I'm not bad. Use more strength. Yunjioga was not afraid of him and instead moaned even more. Do you believe that I won't do you? Zishang threatened fiercely. He couldn't vent his anger while dual cultivating with Yunjioga. He had been holding it in for a long time. Yunjioga was doing this to him and he was in great pain. If you have something to do it to me. Yunjioga wrapped her legs around Zishang's thin waist, looking fearless. Zishang said before that her dantian was too weak, and could not withstand his essence energy. So, before the poison was cured, he could only be an old ox that worked hard to plow the fields. Stupid girl, I'll kill you sooner or later. MMA. Yunjioga moaned even louder. She had been teased too much before, and now she could finally get her revenge. If you asked her how she felt, there was only one word to describe it: pleasure. Chapter 294. Because Zishang was too depressed, the dual cultivation ended very quickly. After Yunjioga finished his cultivation, he put on his clothes and returned to his original place with Zishang. The Lu sisters had already killed quite a few Yin ghosts. Seeing Yunjioga come back with messy clothes and a few strange red marks on his neck, their expressions became strange. The Lu sisters grew up in this area, so they were very familiar with Yin corpses and demonic sects. Naturally, they knew when Yin corpses would take the initiative to form a blood contract with a living person. There were some that had deep feelings when they were alive and could not forget their family and friends after death. There were some that felt that a living person was especially delicious, becoming addicted to eating and not willing to let go. This kind of eating, other than sucking blood, there was another method, which was to have sex. To put it nicely, it was like water and milk, but to put it bluntly, it was being fucked. Very clearly, Yunjioga in front of them was in this kind of situation. No wonder his expression was so strange. It was estimated that he had been fucked by that 1,000-year-old corpse for a long time, causing the corpse poison in his body to manifest. The Lu sisters thought that this corpse love was just a legend. They never thought that there would be a living example in front of them. Moreover, it was a man with a cut sleeve. The two of them couldn't help looking at Yunjioga a few more times. Yunjioga had an expressionless face, letting the Lu sisters look at him, but his heart was very sullen. It was all because of Zishang's broken idea. Now he must be very abnormal in the eyes of the Lu sisters. Senior brother, it's getting late, let's hurry up and leave. Lu Mei Er took the initiative to say with a very kind attitude. The two sisters had a rough life, suffering under the hands of that evil old monster. What they needed the most was not sympathy from others, but sympathy from fellow sufferers. Yunjioga, this pitiful man being pressed down by that 1,000-year-old corpse, met this condition without a doubt. Let's go. Yunjioga brought the Lu sisters out of the Yinchi cemetery. Returning to the small house, Yunjioga gave them 2 bottles of Yin energy pills. Cultivate well. Saying this, he returned to the house. Good night, senior brother. The Lu sisters waited for Yunjioga to enter before returning to their own house. Elder sister, do you really think Yunjioga won't refine me into a Yin corpse? Lu Mei Er asked in a worried voice. I don't think so. It's rumored that Yin corpses that have a blood contract with a living person are very possessive. There are even precedents of them killing the contractor's entire family. It definitely won't allow the contractor to refine another Yin corpse. Lu Mei Er cautiously said. But he can sell me to someone else. After Lu Tian'er was betrayed by her uncle, she didn't trust anyone except her sister. He has that 1,000-year-old corpse by his side. He can get whatever he wants. There's no need for him to sell it to us. As Lu Mei Er said this, she laughed. Besides, he's worth more than us now. If anyone wants to sell him, it should be us. Although his younger sister's 9 nether ghost body was rare, her vital Yin had already been taken away by that damned old monster, so its effectiveness was greatly reduced. It was not even as valuable as the mysterious Yin white bone monkey. Although the 1,000-year-old corpse had formed a blood contract with Yunjio, the Yin corpse sect must have a way to remove it, so the one who should be worried should be Yunjio. Big sister's words make sense. Lu Tiana realized that her net worth had plummeted and felt inexplicably relieved. I think that Yunjiu is a person with good fortune. If we follow him, we might be able to get some good luck. Lu Mei originally thought that this Yunjiu was just a demonic-looking youth. She didn't think that he not only had a treasure like the mysterious Yin white bone monkey, but also a 1,000-year-old corpse as a Yin corpse. This kind of great fortune was simply something that only the favored of the heavens could have. If they could get some good luck by following him, the two sisters would be able to avoid a lot of detours in the future. Big sister is right. The two sisters had a hard life, that's why they ended up in this situation. Let's follow him first and work hard to raise our cultivation. Lu Mei finally came to a conclusion. Lu Tian'er nodded her head in agreement. She then took out the Yin Qi pill that Yun Jiuge gave her and ate it. Her eyes immediately widened. What's wrong? Is there a problem with this Yin Qi pill? Lu Mei asked. Heavens, I've never eaten such a pure Yin Qi pill before. Lu Tian'er said as she sat down cross-legged to cultivate. Lu Mei stood guard at the side. After she finished cultivating, she also couldn't wait to eat one. She immediately understood her little sister's meaning. Big sister, let's follow him for now. We'll see what happens in the future. Lu Tian'er felt that this Yin Qi pill was too good. Right? Lu Mei nodded her head. The Lu sisters had real benefits in front of them. Even if they were to fall out in the future, they would have to take this opportunity to increase their strength first. The two sisters used the Qi gathering pill and it was much better than the one given by the sect. Their cultivation increased very quickly as well. Yun Jiuge didn't know that her Yin Qi pill had successfully bribed the Lu sisters. After she entered the room, she immediately refined a large bucket of Yin Qi water and threw the little white bone monkey inside. The little white bone monkey happily soaked in the water. Its soul flame was squinting as if it could ascend to the heavens at any time. Good child, work hard in the future. You won't be lacking in benefits. Yun Jiuge rubbed its big head and then went to the side to cultivate. She had touched the threshold of the third Qi disciple stage, but she was unable to advance. The cultivation of the myriad beast spell had also reached a bottleneck. No matter how she cultivated, she couldn't condense the feathers on her back. Instead, she felt sore all over. In your current situation, you need to start tempering your bones. Zishang could see Yun Jiuge's problem at a glance. After Yun Jiuge cultivated the Yin Qi technique, although the 9-stage bone-shattering poison in her dantian had been alleviated, the poison that seeped into her bones still needed to be boiled out. I'm going to boil the bones so soon. Do I have enough medicinal ingredients? Although Yun Jiuge had asked the Gong family to help her collect a lot of bone-tempering medicinal ingredients, she was afraid that it wouldn't be enough for her to reach the peak of Qi disciple. We'll talk about it if it's not enough. Pick up the medicinal ingredients first. I'll help you get a wooden bucket. Zishang left the room after he finished speaking. After Yun Jiuge had picked up the bone-tempering medicinal ingredients, Zishang returned and carried out a thick, long and round piece of black wood from his storage bag. The glossy black wood was covered with golden round spots. It was as gorgeous as a leopard's pattern. Damn, why did you bring the treasure of the Ink Flower Mountain here? Yun Jiuge immediately recognized that it was Elder Mo Hua's treasure, the black bone leopard pattern wood. It was said that she had planted 38 trees behind her cave abode and planned to use them to refine a treasure in the future. Therefore she usually kept a close eye on it. This kind of wood is the best to make a wooden bucket. Zishang had high standards. He didn't even look at normal wood. You keep saying that you want to keep a low profile. Is this how you keep a low profile? If this Elder Mo Hua found out that her precious wood was stolen, she would turn the Yin Corpse sect upside down. Even if she was only an outer sect disciple, her life wouldn't be easy. Chapter 295. Do you think I'm as stupid as you? Zishang dared to steal the wood, so he was naturally prepared. He found a normal black bone wood, painted it with leopard spots and planted it back in its original spot. There were more than 30 black bone leopard wood in the forest. As long as Elder Mo Hua didn't dig it out, he definitely wouldn't find it. You can do that? Yun Jiuge was impressed by Zishang. But no matter what, she was the one who brought the black bone leopard wood back to enjoy. She was still very happy. You boil the herbs first. I'll make the wooden barrel later and we can use it. Zishang's fingernails grew, and he cut the black bone leopard wood into neat wooden pieces. Then he carved fire runes along the leopard markings on the wooden pieces, and started piecing them together. Apart from its spiritual solidification properties, the black bone leopard wood also had great growth properties. The wooden pieces fit together perfectly without a single gap. It was as if it was naturally a wooden barrel. After Yun's yoga finished boiling the herbs, she poured them into the black bone leopard wood barrel. She didn't need to inject spiritual energy. The golden spots and fire runes lit up automatically, and small bubbles appeared in the pitch-black potion. I won't be cooked, right? Yun's yoga swallowed her saliva. She was really worried that a layer of her skin would be scalded off. It just looks hot. Zishang put his hand into the water easily. When he picked it up, it was still as white as jade. Yun's yoga walked into the wooden barrel without worry. The moment she squatted down, her face flushed red. She screamed and wanted to jump out of the barrel. Bear with it even if it hurts. Zishang pressed Yun's yoga down mercilessly. You lied to me. Yun's yoga's face was so hot that her face was crooked. The water was even hotter than it looked. That's how it is. Zishang placed his hand on Yun's yoga's shoulder to prevent her from escaping. The golden spots and fire runes on the black bone wooden barrel grew brighter. More and more bubbles appeared in the potion. The rising mist enveloped the entire bungalow. It was as if she was about to ascend to immortality. Yun's yoga soaked in the water. She felt that the cold air in her bones was about to evaporate. Layers of black filth emerged from her pores, wrapping around her body like sludge. When the medicinal effect completely disappeared, the filth on her body was as thick as armor. Piece by piece it peeled off her skin. However, the effect was very obvious. Her cultivation advanced by another level, and she successfully entered the third level of Chi Disciple. In addition, her 10,000 Beast spell had finally broken through the first layer. Not only did the phoenix feather flower on his forehead become clearer, but his skin also became smooth and tough, making it difficult for ordinary swords to injure him. However, the most obvious change was that the red light on her shoulder blades had finally turned into a thin layer of red fur. When will I be able to grow wings? Yun's yoga asked Zishang as he stroked the layer of fluff. How long have you been cultivating and you want to become a demon? Zishang chuckled. This girl was looking down on the demon clan too much. If a talented wild beast wanted to evolve into a spirit beast, it would take at least 50 to 100 years. She had cultivated for a few months to have such an effect, and it was all thanks to him using his Niden to dual cultivate with her. Otherwise, she wouldn't even be able to cultivate the red light. Forget it. It's just training anyway. Yun's yoga was quite open-minded. She only cultivated the 10,000 Beast spell to stabilize her Dantian. She did not really expect to become a spirit and become a bird. Yun's yoga used her chi to retract the fluff on her shoulder blades, then took out the Yin energy pill and prepared to cultivate. This Yin energy pill doesn't taste as good as before. After Yun's yoga took the Yin energy pill and circulated it through her body, she realized that the effect of the pill was not very good. Logically speaking, this Yin energy pill should be able to last until the 5th layer of Chi Disciple. Why did it lose effectiveness so early? After the 3rd layer of Chi Disciple, the amount of Yin energy you need starts to increase. In addition, your 10,000 Beast spell also needs double the spiritual power. This Yin energy pill is naturally not suitable for you. Zishang had been by Yun's yoga's side all this time, so he knew her body like the back of his hand. He even knew how many feathers grew on her shoulder blades. If that's the case, I need to start refining the Yin energy pill now. Yun's yoga sighed. The materials needed to refine the Yin energy pill were much more complicated than the Yin energy pill. The 3 nether flowers were easier to pick, but the Yin moths were not. The Yin moths only existed in the Moth Valley of the Yin Energy Cemetery, and they would only appear after midnight. The Yin Energy Cemetery was very dangerous at night. Even if she went in with the skeleton monkey, she might not be able to protect them. The worst thing was that the Yin moths were extremely fast. Killing them one by one was really tiring. She had to think of a way. Why don't you ask the Lu sisters? They were born and raised in this area. Maybe they have a way to deal with those Yin moths. Zishang felt that it would be good for her to cooperate with Yun's yoga and the Lu sisters in the future. Okay. The next morning, Yun's yoga went to the Lu sisters to ask about the Yin moths. These Yin moths are not easy to catch. If you don't need a lot, you can use contribution points to exchange. 10 contribution points for 1. Lu Tian'er suggested. The Yin energy pill is not effective for those above the 5th layer of weapon refining. You have to refine the Yin energy pill. Yun's yoga said that a furnace of 10 Yin energy pills would require at least 200 Yin moths. She could afford it herself, but it depended on whether the Lu sisters could afford the price. So expensive? Lu Mei calculated the cost. If they followed Yun's yoga to the Yin energy cemetery for a day, they could at most kill 100 Yin ghosts. That was 100 contribution points. After deducting the daily needs, there were 80 points left. Normally, 80 contribution points could be exchanged with yin yoga for 18 energy pills. Working for one day would allow them to go into seclusion for 8 days. They had plenty of time to cultivate. Now that they exchanged it for the yin energy pill, 10 contribution points for one yin moth. 200 yin moths would be 2,000 contribution points. They would have to work for 25 days to exchange for 10 yin energy pills. Where would they have time to cultivate? After calculating the cost, Lu Mei said decisively, "Then let's go catch them ourselves." Yin moths are very sensitive to yang energy. We can set a trap to lure them over and then kill them. I heard that they used living people as bait. Lu Tian'er said. There are disciples of the Yin Corpse sect in a 10-mile radius. It would be difficult to catch them as bait. Yun Jioga expressed his disagreement with this method. It is indeed difficult. If we are discovered, we will be heavily punished. Lu Meier's tone was a little regretful. Although using living people as bait was the simplest and most convenient method, the Yin Corpse sect forbade killing each other. I see that the yang energy gathered by your red paper man is not bad. Why don't we try it? Yun Jioga had studied the Lu sisters' red paper man before. The yang energy gathered by their blood essence was not bad. The yang energy gathered by our red paper man is not enough to lure 2 yin moths. How can it be used as a bait? Lu Meier quickly shook her head. What a joke. Those red paper men were all refined from her blood essence. Every one of them was very precious. It would be a waste to use them to lure yin moths. Chapter 296. I'm just saying. I don't have to use your red paper dolls. I just need something with enough yang qi. Yun Jioga was just asking casually. Lu Tian'er's eyes suddenly lit up and she said, I know something with enough yang qi. You mean yang essence? As expected of twins, Lu Meier and Lu Tian'er immediately guessed what their sister was thinking. That's right. Lu Tian'er nodded and laughed. As long as we can collect enough yang essence and store it in a yang locator, we can definitely attract yin moths and other fairies. Wait. Yun Jioga raised his hand and asked hesitantly, the yang essence you're talking about, is it the one you're thinking of? Oh, it's the one you're thinking of. Lu Tian'er laughed and said, how about brother Yun Jio contribute the first shot? I don't have that thing. Ahem, senior apprentice brother, don't mind me. My sister is just joking with you. Lu Meier coughed and gestured for her sister to look at the 1,000-year-old corpse behind Yun Jioga. Zishang actually found it quite interesting, but his identity as an old corpse made him unable to show his emotions on his face. In the eyes of the two sisters, he looked like he was angry. That's right, senior apprentice brother, I'm just joking. Lu Tian'er immediately became serious. The man of a 1,000-year-old corpse must not be casually flirted with. You guys find a way to get this yang essence. Inform me when you're done. Yun Jioga waved his hand dispiritedly. He no longer wanted to discuss this unrestrained topic with the two sisters. Senior apprentice brother, don't worry. Leave this task to us. The Lu sisters vowed. Oh right, go buy 2 more second-rank yin qi bottles. Yun Jioga planned to go all out. Yes. The Lu sisters accepted the task and went to work. Just as Yun Jioga was about to cultivate, Zishang suddenly pulled her into his arms and blinked his peach blossom eyes. He smiled and said, do you want me to give you some yang essence? I've been saving it for a long time. You should keep such a precious thing. Yun Jioga pushed Zishang away and went to cultivate seriously. While the Lu sisters were busy collecting yang essence, Yun Jioga was not idle either. She sneaked into the Yin Qi cemetery with the white bone monkey and picked many 3 nether flowers. 2 days later, the Lu sisters came to find her with a large milky white cup. The cup was in the shape of a cylinder, and the lid on it was very intricately made. It only allowed the liquid to enter but not exit, giving off a strange feeling. Senior brother, do you want to check it? Lu Tian'er pretended to open the cup. No need. It's fine as long as you think it's fine. Yun Jioga rejected the cup of little tadpoles. Then when should we go? This cup of yang essence won't be fresh if we keep it for too long. The Lu sisters had spent a lot of effort to make this thing. Let's go now, Yun Jioga said decisively. He would first go in and kill some yin ghosts. After midnight he would catch the yin moths. At midnight the Yin Qi cemetery was shrouded in ghost qi, gloomy and gloomy. Yun Jioga was standing next to the big pagoda tree where he and Zishang had previously dual cultivated. Beneath him was a depression and in the middle of it was a bottle. Around it were 6 white bone spikes. Once we have gathered enough yin moths, we'll attack at the same time. Can you do that? Yunjioga looked at the two sisters. Her plan was simple. She would wait for the Yin moths to gather and then use the white bone spikes to kill them. At this time, cooperation was important. If the white bone spikes could not attack at the same time, the lethality would be greatly reduced, and the Yin moths would take the opportunity to escape. Senior brother, don't worry. I guarantee that none of them will escape. The Lu sisters were twins, so cooperation was an instinct for them. It was not difficult at all. Then let's begin. Yunjioga nodded at Lu Mei-er. Lu Mei-er threw a red paper doll into the yang essence cup, and the doll quickly opened the lid. A faint stench floated out. The Yin Qi in the distance rolled and a large group of Yin ghosts pounced over. However, they were lured away by the white bone monkey. Following that, a large group of gray Yin moths surged over. They were terrifyingly fast and instantly drowned the yang essence cup. Lu Tian'er looked at the Yin moths as if she was looking at countless contribution points. She was extremely excited. Lu Mei-er could not help but look at Yunjioga with a questioning gaze. Yunjioga shook his head. This was not enough. He had to accumulate more. Seeing that the number of Yin moths was increasing, and those that could not smell the yang qi were about to leave, Yunjioga finally nodded. The Lu sisters simultaneously made a hand seal, and 6 white bone spikes burst out with a blood-red light, and with a loud bang they pierced into the Yin moths. The Yin moths shrieked. In an instant, more than half of them were killed, and the rest scattered in all directions trying to escape. Yunjioga quickly commanded the white bone spikes to kill those that escaped. This attack killed a total of more than 400 Yin moths, just enough to make a cauldron of Yin gathering pills. There was still a lot of yang essence left in the cup, and it could continue to attract the moths. Just like that, Yunjioga and the Lu sisters killed for the entire night. The bottle of yang essence attracted more than 2,000 Yin moths. Although the results were gratifying, it was extremely tiring. Well done. Yunjioga held the 5 heavy Yin Qi bottles in his hands and praised the Lu sisters. Senior brother, you flatter us. Although the Lu sisters were happy, they knew that if it was not for the white bone monkey and the 1,000-year-old corpse protecting them, they would not have achieved such a result. Alright, let's go back. The yang essence had been used up, and the sun was about to rise. There was no point in staying any longer. The Lu sisters and Yunjioga returned to the bungalow together, and after saying good morning to each other, they parted ways. Yunjioga carried the heavy Yin Qi bottles back to the house, and was so tired that she could not lift her arms. However, these Yin moths would be wasted if she did not immediately refine them. She could only raise her spirits and prepare to refine the pills. The Yin Qi that the Yin moths produced was a little grayish-black, and the refined Yin Qi was also black and very thin. However, as long as the 3 nether flour was put in, it would become very sticky. The 3 nether flour looked like a mushroom, and the grayish-white mushroom had 3 thick black rhombus-shaped lines on it. These 3 rhombus-shaped lines were the materials needed to refine the Yin gathering pill. Yunjioga removed the 3 rhombus-shaped lines from the mushroom, and threw them into the Yin moth's water. The thin Yin Qi water instantly became sticky. After all the materials were prepared, Yunjioga poured the sticky medicinal liquid into the small bronze cauldron, and began to refine the pill. The fire required to refine the Yin gathering pill was very short, and inexperienced people would easily spoil it. However, this was not a problem for Yunjioga. She only spent 2 hours to successfully refine the medicinal liquid into the Yin gathering pill. 10 cauldrons made a total of 300 Yin gathering pills, and the color looked grayish. Although it did not look good, the Yin Qi it contained was definitely very thick. When I think about how these Yin moths were attracted by yang essence, I feel a little nauseous. Yunjioga looked at the furnace of Yin gathering pills and could not help but sigh. However, for the sake of cultivation, she could only endure it no matter how disgusting it was. Chapter 297. This furnace is for the Lu sisters. You use these to refine. Unexpectedly, Zishang flipped his palm and took out a Yin Qi bottle. Yunjioga took a look and saw that it was an incomparably pure black Yin Qi water. When did you make this? Yunjioga looked at Zishang in surprise. The purity of this Yin Qi water was so high, it meant that the Yin moths caught by Zishang were of a very high level. This guy used the excuse of training her and rarely helped her with these things. She didn't expect him to be so kind today. When you were refining the pills, I went out for a walk. How could Zishang tolerate his woman eating those disgusting things? I knew you treat me the best. Yunjioga generously kissed Zishang and excitedly went to refine the Yin gathering pill. The pills refined by this high-level Yin Qi water were indeed different. Each pill was pure black and the effect was needless to say. One pill was comparable to the 2 pills from the furnace just now. It could be said to be of high quality. Yunjioga kept these high-quality Inchi pills well. The next morning he sent the Yang Essence Yin Gathering pill to the Lu sisters. Each bottle has 15 pills. Together with the Inchi pills, it will be enough for you to cultivate for a month. Yunjioga planned to give the 2 sisters 30 pills every month and keep 100 for himself. Although the Yin moths were killed by everyone, she was the one who picked the 3 nether flowers and the pills were refined by her. She definitely wanted to be rewarded. Thank you, senior brother. The Lu sisters would not mind that it was taken out by the Yang Essence. 1 month later, go to the Moth Valley again. As for the Yang Essence, do as you see fit. But be careful of the impact. Yunjioga told the Lu sisters in advance to remind them not to only pluck the feathers from one sheep. It was safer to take turns. There were still 4 outer sect disciple peaks. Senior brother, don't worry. We know what to do. Lu Tian'er said with a smile. There were more men than women in the Yin Corpse sect. With just a small illusion technique, they could easily obtain the Yang essence of those perverts. All right, do as you see fit. Yunjioga was still very confident in the Lu sisters. When the Lu sisters took the Yin Gathering pill back and ate it, they almost flew into the sky. They were even more determined to follow Yunjioga. Other than cultivating every day, the 2 sisters would wander around looking for candidates to collect the Yang essence next time. Yunjioga, on the other hand, continued to train hard. From time to time he would temper his bones. His progress was also very smooth. It seemed like he was about to break through to the 4th level of Qi refinement. On this day she had just finished cultivating when little Fatty suddenly came over. Senior brother, I have news regarding Su Junqing. 50 contribution points. Do you want to buy it? Yes. Yunjioga transferred 50 contribution points to little Fatty without hesitation. Su Junqing has been pestering Elder Ink Flower recently. He has accepted another mission, little Fatty said mysteriously. What mission? Yunjioga asked. I heard that he is going to bring a group of outer disciples out to work. However, I have yet to figure out the specifics of the task. Little Fatty felt it was a pity. If he could figure it out, he could sell it for more money. This Yunjio was very generous. Tell me immediately after you figure it out. Yunjioga had a premonition that this might be a good opportunity to deal with Su Junqing. Alright, I have another piece of news for you for free. Elder Chosen is about to return. Back then Su Junqing came in with Si Yue. Now that Si Yue is seriously injured and unconscious, he has not gone to see her even once. He is probably afraid that Elder Chosen will find him, so he took the mission and hid away. Little Fatty was very good at doing business. He would often buy 1 get 1 free or give away gifts. Therefore he had a good relationship with his customers. Got it? Yunjioga had been in Yin Corpse sect for a long time. She already knew that Si Yue was a disciple of Cho Shan. Although she was not Elder Cho Sen's direct disciple, it was said that her relationship with Elder Cho Sen was a bit ambiguous. No wonder Su Junqing ran away. However, this had nothing to do with her. She only cared about Su Junqing. That's right, haven't you been close to those 2 sisters recently? Why don't you ask them to help you gather some information? Su Junqing can't forget about them. Little Fatty was all smiles, but his tone was probing. He was quite impressed with Yunjioga. He really took care of those 2 sisters. Although the information he sold to him was a great help, those 2 sisters were not easy to deal with. Many people who wanted to threaten them had already disappeared in the mass grave. I know what to do. You don't need to worry. Yunjioga looked at little Fatty coldly. She never explained her relationship with the Lu sisters. She wanted little Fatty and the people outside to guess. The more ridiculous the better. Ahem. If there is nothing else, I will go. Little Fatty touched his nose and left. Yunjioga sent little Fatty away. Just as she was about to find the Lu sisters to ask about Su Junqing, Lu Mei came looking for her. What is it? Yunjioga asked. Yes. Lu Mei nodded. Let's talk inside. Yunjioga opened the door and let Lu Mei in. She was too lazy to let Lu Mei drink water. She directly asked, What is it? Last night, senior brother Su came looking for us. He wants us to be his lovers. He will be our support in the future. Lu Mei said. If it was before they met Yunjioga, they would be more than happy to have such a strong, powerful and gentle senior brother like Su Junqing to protect them. But now that they were following Yunjioga and improving with their strength, the 2 sisters no longer wanted to live the life of selling their bodies for resources. You can deal with him and see what benefits he can give you. Yunjioga tried to rope in the Lu sisters because she wanted to use them to get close to Su Junqing. Senior brother Su said that in 3 months, the sect's small mystic realm will open. All outer sect disciples who have cultivated to stage 4 can enter the mystic realm to train. All outer sect disciples will participate. When the time comes, he will be the leader of our second peak. Lu Mei had already asked around. Although she did not want to be Su Juanqing's lover, it would be a waste not to use the information that came to her. Yun Jioga's heart could not help but pound when she heard the news. This was definitely a good opportunity to kill Su Juanqing. She suppressed her excitement and asked the Lu sisters, "What did he tell you about the mystic realm?" "He only said that there is a type of human-faced peach growing in that little secret dungeon. Eating it is extremely beneficial for raising one's cultivation. The most important mission for us outer sect disciples is to pluck this human-faced peach. However, the process of plucking the human-faced peach is very dangerous and many people might die." Lu Mei could not help but furrow her brows as she spoke up to this point. Every year the Yin Corpse sect would recruit a large number of disciples. There were tens of thousands of outer sect disciples, but less than 1,000 of them could successfully enter the inner sect. Most of them went into the mystic realms to train. Chapter 298. It seems there is something strange about this pocket dimension. You guys should hurry up and cultivate yourselves. If you have the chance, buy some good spiritual bones and prepare yourselves. I will go ask little Fatty about this pocket dimension. Hearing Lu Mei's words, Yun Jioga also began to view this pocket dimension with importance. Okay. Lu Mei nodded worriedly. Yun Jio had a 1,000-year-old corpse with him, so his life wouldn't be in any danger. However, the old corpse only cared about its contractor and turned a blind eye to them. It was too difficult to rely on it. It seemed like there was still a need to win over senior brother Su and ask him for help when necessary. Seeing through Lu Mei's thoughts, Yun Jioga reminded, Su Juanqing isn't a simple person. It's fine to maintain a relationship, but be careful of falling into a pit of fire if you become his backer. I know. Lu Mei nodded. Ever since Su Juanqing expressed his intention to rope them in, the two sisters had also inquired about him a lot. They knew that he relied on women to get to his position, so he probably didn't approach them with good intentions. It's good that you know. Go back and cultivate well. After Yun Jioga sent Lu Mei off, he wanted to find little Fatty to ask about this mystic realm, but he was stopped by Zishang. There are still 3 months before the minor mystery dungeon. By then, even if you don't ask, little Fatty will come to you and sell you the information. There is no need for this. Right now, the most important thing is to find a way to improve my strength. For Zishang, a minor mystery dungeon like this was nothing. You're right. Yun Jioga also realized that he was a little impatient. Every time she encountered Su Juanqing, she would easily lose control. This was not good. However, this was indeed a good opportunity and he definitely couldn't miss it. Yun Jioga began to assess his combat power. Currently, his outer sect's Yin art was at the 3rd stage of Qi refinement, and he could control 4 white bone spurs. Although the first stage of the 10,000 Beasts art could harden one's skin, it could only block normal swords and sabers. It was not very useful in actual combat. In terms of Dharma artifacts, there were the bone spikes and the corpse-controlling bell given by the Yin Corpse sect. There was also the evil saber he had gotten from forefather Bloodthirsty. The lightning snake illusionary whip was currently sealed and could not be used until the very last moment. As for the other things, the white bone flame could only be used to refine pills, and the white bone monkey could only eat Yin Qi. The treasure-seeking scorpion could only search for treasures, the skinny squirrel was sleeping, and the pink mother goo had not hatched yet. No matter how Yun Jioga thought about it, he realized that he did not have a single powerful Dharma artifact. What do you think if I forge my own set of bone spikes? Yun Jioga asked Zishang. Before the Yin Corpse sect, outer sect disciples had their own Yin corpses, they all used bone spurs as magic weapons. If he could find a superior grade spirit bone to forge a bone spur, its attack power would also be very powerful. It was said that Elder Cho Sen's Dharma treasures were made from the bones of bloodthirsty bats. There were 27 of them in total and they were very powerful. Find me the spirit bone, I'll help you refine it. Yun Jioga was good at alchemy, but he wasn't good at blacksmithing. He didn't even have the slightest bit of talent when it came to runes. All right. Yun Jioga had been waiting for Zishang to say this. She patted her pouch and solemnly called out, "Come out, treasure-seeking scorpion." The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately crawled out and waved its pincers. It raised its head and puffed out its chest as it shouted in a loud voice, "Master, what are your orders?" "Go outside and help me. Are there any white bones with abundant spiritual energy?" Yun Jioga was very confident in the treasure-seeking scorpion. If it could find something similar to the mystic white skeleton monkey, that would be the best. I'll go right now. The treasure-seeking scorpion's fat body landed on the ground with a bang, creating a small pit. This fellow ate and slept well and was in a good mood. Its weight was increasing. It was originally only the size of a palm, but now it had gone through secondary puberty and was as thick as a child's arm. Its digging speed was also increasing. Not good. Be careful. Yun Jioga ordered. This was Corp's sect's territory after all. If something happened to the treasure-seeking scorpion, it would be very hard for her to solve it. Don't worry, I know. The treasure-seeking scorpion was very satisfied with its current life. It didn't want to change its master at all. It usually guarded its wife, and without Yun Jioga's orders, it would never act on its own. The treasure-seeking scorpion looked left and right. After confirming its direction, it turned into a yellow light and entered the ground. Great King Zishang, you're here. I'll make you a pot of tea. Yun Jioga called out to Zishang in a flattering manner. If he wanted to deal with Su Junqing, this was the real Dharma treasure. He had to serve him well. Zishang's attitude towards Yun Jioga was very useful. He lazily sat on the chair, twisted his neck and muttered to himself, "Your shoulder seems a bit hard." "Is it hard? I'll help you rub it." Yun Jioga immediately stood beside Zishang and pressed his shoulder. He even asked very gently, "Great King, is this strength suitable?" "It's all right." Zishang was drowsy, but the corners of his red lips curled up slightly. Yun Jioga wanted to continue. At this moment, a yellow light appeared on the ground. The treasure-seeking scorpion had returned. So fast? Yun Jioga thought that the treasure-seeking scorpion would take at least half a day. After all, this area was Corp's sect's territory. He didn't expect it to return in just 10 sentences. "I've already found the spirit bone. It's not far from here." The treasure-seeking scorpion said naively. "Not far." Yun Jioga was slightly surprised. If it wasn't far, then it was still in the territory of the second peak. There could be a good spirit bone here? Let's go take a look. Zishang stood up and said. Let's go. Yun Jioga was also slightly curious about how close the spirit bone was. In the end, under the guidance of the treasure-seeking scorpion, they made a few turns and arrived at a workshop where the disciples of the second peak traded privately. Yun Jioga had heard of this workshop before. Many outer sect disciples would set up stalls here to privately trade after obtaining some gains. The Corp's sect would also turn a blind eye to it when it was too low to exchange it for contribution points. Yun Jioga sent the treasure-seeking scorpion to pick up the spirit bones for free. Making her spend money was like cutting off her own flesh. Let's look around. If there's anything good, we'll buy it. Zishang was rather interested in this workshop. Alright, let's look around. Yun Jioga felt a little heartache for her purse. The scale of this workshop was quite large. The small stalls were all trading within a planned area. Most of them were things that outer sect disciples could use. There were second-hand Inchi bottles, various spirit bones, various low-grade materials. Yun Jioga walked around but didn't find anything good. A slightly better spirit bone was sold for 100 contribution points. It was better for her to go to the mass grave to find it herself. As Yun Jioga was walking around, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Senior brother Yun Jio, why are you here? She turned around and saw that it was little fatty Jean Lin. Why do you have a share in everything? Yun Jioga was impressed with little fatty. He curried favor every day, yet he still had the cultivation of the second layer of the Qi refinement realm. He was quite a capable person. Keeping track of the workshop's movements is also one of my jobs. If senior brother Yun Jio wants to buy anything, just ask me directly. I don't charge for this information, little fatty said with a smile. Chapter 299. I want to buy a good spirit bone, but the price has to be reasonable. Yun Jioga still trusted little fatty. You can't buy good spirit bones here, you have to go to the night market to get good stuff. Little fatty whispered. Ghost market. Yun Jioga raised her eyebrows. It didn't sound like a good place. That's right, after midnight there is a ghost market in the locust tree forest. There will be a lot of good stuff, but you can only exchange it. You can also buy it with spirit jades, but it doesn't accept contribution points. Little fatty carefully introduced the ghost market to Yun Jioga. Because there were a lot of things that couldn't be put on the table, people who entered the ghost market had to cover their faces. They weren't allowed to ask for the origin of anything they wanted to exchange, and fighting was not allowed in the ghost market. Although the rules in the ghost market were very strict, there was no guarantee once you left. Many people would stare at targets in the ghost market and rob when they left, so it was very dangerous for people without any strength to go to the ghost market. Sounds good. Zishang transmitted his voice to Yunjioga, deciding to go for a stroll tonight. Actually, there is still some risk in going to the ghost market. Senior Yunjio, if you have anything you want, just find me. I guarantee a good price. Little Fatty started to pull in business. Okay, if you have spirit bones that are suitable for the Lu sisters, help me look for them. Yunjioga acted like a rich man who wanted to buy something to please a beauty. No problem. Little Fatty patted his chest and guaranteed. Yunjioga left the workshop and returned to the house to prepare for the night market. What do you plan on using to exchange for things? Zishang asked. I'll use some Yin energy pills to try. If it doesn't work, I'll use spirit jades to buy it. Yunjioga really didn't have anything good on hand. She couldn't bear to use the ingredients in the storage bag to exchange. It would be very hard to buy them in the future. It's better to keep the spirit jades, Zishang said. These contribution points could only be used in Yin Corp's sect. Outside it was still better to use spirit jades. What do you think if I use the Yin pill to exchange? Yunjioga's only skill was alchemy. Sure. Zishang was very confident in Yunjioga's alchemy skills. Yunjioga naturally wouldn't use her own high-quality Yin pill to exchange. She took out the inferior Yin pill and put them in a bottle, finally preparing 10 bottles. At midnight, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The air was quiet. Yunjioga put on a black cloak and a black cat mask, then set off for the locust tree forest with Zishang. From the outside, nothing seemed out of the ordinary in the locust tree forest, but after entering he found that there were people everywhere in the shadows of the trees. If he wanted to sell something, all he had to do was find a secluded place and place the item on a red cloth. Then he would wait for someone who was interested to ask about it. Yunjioga looked around and found that there were all kinds of things being sold. Medicinal pills, cultivation techniques, demonic weapons, medicinal ingredients, and there were also people selling placentas. It was said that many female disciples liked the placentas and often bought them as tonics. There were also quite a number of people selling spirit bones. Most of them were gathered at the corner of a row of trees on the left. Yunjioga walked over and found a stall that had good spirit bones on display. A few of the bones were glowing with a faint azure light, indicating that they were wind elemental bones. The stall owner was also wearing a black cloak and a gray wolf mask. He was quite tall. What kind of bone is this? Yunjioga didn't need to change his voice to use a woman's voice. Rank 3 Gale Wolf's leg bone. The gray wolf stall owner's voice was very hoarse. It was clearly not his own voice. Gale wolves could only be found in the bewildering beast forest in the north. That was the territory of the Joyful Union sect. He didn't know how this gray wolf stall owner got his hands on it. Indeed, he couldn't ask about the origins of the items in the black market. How much? Yunjioga didn't have the time to go to the bewildering beast forest and could only buy it with money. 100 spirit jade for one. The gray wolf stall owner said. So expensive? Yunjioga was interested and wanted to bargain. Buy it or not? The gray wolf stall owner was quite cool. Yunjioga wasn't angry. He squatted down and began to choose carefully. Although 100 spirit jade for one was quite expensive, the Gale wolf's bone was indeed good stuff. If it was refined properly, its power would increase by several times. At this moment, the treasure-seeking scorpion suddenly squeaked and shouted, "Master, there's a treasure." "Treasure, where is it?" Yunjioga immediately perked up. "The bench under that man's butt is a treasure." The treasure-seeking scorpion's voice was quite excited. "Bench?" Yunjioga glanced over in confusion. She discovered that there was a bare beast's bone under the gray wolf stall owner's butt. It looked gray and had no spiritual power at all. It was made to be a bench. However, since the treasure-seeking scorpion said it was a treasure, then it must be true. Yunjioga was very experienced in buying treasures. She only needed to bargain with the gray wolf stall owner and buy the Gale wolf's leg bones first. Then she would pretend to ask for a bonus and take the bare beast bone away. Before Yunjioga could open her mouth to bargain, she heard the stall owner next door loudly say, "We don't add bonuses here." She glanced to the side and discovered that the stone that the other person wanted to use as a bonus was a red cloth. At this moment, it had already been put away by the stall owner as a treasure. Tisich asking for a bonus in the ghost city, what an idiot. The gray wolf stall owner sneered, taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. Yunjioga was immediately speechless. These Yin Corp's sect people were too shrewd. How could people find treasures like this? She couldn't help but glance at the bare beast bone under the gray wolf stall owner's butt. If she rashly said that she wanted to buy the bare beast bone, the gray wolf stall owner would definitely be suspicious. She had to think of a way. Let's leave first. Zishang also spoke. Yun Jioga pretended to leave, then walked to an empty corner and began to think of a way. This bare beast bone is not easy to buy. Yun Jioga racked her brains, but couldn't think of a way to naturally buy a useless bare beast bone. What's there to think about? If he doesn't want to sell, then just rob him. Zishang said as if it was a matter of course. Fighting is prohibited in the Ghost City. Yun Jioga still had to stay in the Yin Corpse sect for a long time. Causing trouble now was definitely courting death. Can't we just leave the Ghost City? Zishang was very familiar with robbery. In fact, he had already placed a tracing curse on the Grey Wolf stall owner, so he could find him at any time. Alright. It's just robbing a broken bare beast bone. At worst, she would just give him some spirit jades as compensation. After Yun Jioga made her decision, she prepared to go back and buy the Gale Wolf bones that she saw earlier. Buy what? When the time comes, we'll just rob them together. There was no need to go through so much trouble. What if he sells it to someone else? Yun Jioga frowned. That bone was very good. Then we'll rob again. Zishang's hands were itching. How can we rob so much? Yun Jioga ignored Zishang's rotten idea and went back to find the Grey Wolf stall owner. I want all 4 of these Gale Wolf spirit bones, can I have less? Yun Jioga asked. Not less, this thing is not easy to get. The Grey Wolf stall owner was speaking the truth. For these Gale Wolf bones, he was almost messed up by those little hussies from the Hehuan sect. Chapter 300. I don't have any spirit jades, do you want to trade for the elixir? Yun Jioga asked again. What pill? The Grey Wolf stall owner asked indifferently. He did not seem to be very interested. High-grade Gathering Yin pill can be taken from Chi Disciple level 5 to peak. Yun Jioga felt that this Grey Wolf vendor's cultivation should not be low, so it would be useful. The Grey Wolf vendor immediately raised his head. Although the shadow of the cloak covered his face, Yun Jioga could feel that he was very surprised. Let me have a look. Although the Grey Wolf vendor was happy, he was still very cautious. Yun Jioga poured a Gathering Yin pill over. The Grey Wolf vendor was also knowledgeable, he could tell that it was a good elixir, and could indeed be used from Chi Disciple level 5 to peak. How do you want to trade? The Grey Wolf vendor held the elixir and did not let go. 100 spirit jades per bottle, 10 pills. Yun Jioga felt that his price was very fair. Okay. The Grey Wolf vendor nodded, and the two quickly completed the transaction. Yun Jioga took the spirit bone, put it in her Chengkuan bag and turned to leave. When she left, there were still a few gazes on her, it seemed that they had their eyes on her. Yun Jioga glanced at them from the corner of her eyes, and found that it was a gang crime. 3 or 4 people stood in a position where they could closely observe her movements, and they were not afraid of her finding out. Go that way, Zishang said. Yun Jioga followed Zishang into the shadow of the locust tree, and when she came out, she changed into a pure black mask, and even her body was much more muscular, and she immediately got rid of those people who wanted to rob her. That Grey Wolf vendor left, let's quickly follow. Zishang kept watching. Let's go. Yun Jioga also quickly left the Ghost City, and followed the Grey Wolf vendor from a distance. It could be seen that this Grey Wolf vendor was very experienced. After circling around the Ghost City several times, he quietly left and walked towards the first peak. The Grey Wolf vendor was very vigilant along the way, and deliberately chose wide and open terrain to walk. Yun Jioga originally wanted to sneak attack, but she could not find a chance. If the Grey Wolf vendor returned to peak 1, the robbery plan would be ruined. Yun Jioga had no choice, and could only use the white bone spur to stab the Grey Wolf vendor from the shadows. He didn't expect the Grey Wolf stall owner to react so quickly. 2 fiery red bone spurs flew over in a flash. One of them broke Yun Jioga's white bone spike into 2. The other one was aimed at Yun Jioga's chest. Yun Jioga's figure flickered, and after dodging the attack, he held the broken bone spear in his hand. Little guy, you actually dare to rob me? You're really courting death. The Grey Wolf stall owner laughed arrogantly. He has been setting up a stall in the Ghost City for many years and has seen too many thieves. What he likes the most is this kind of business where the thief eats the thief. Yun Jioga did not speak. He shook the corpse control bell and continued to command the 2 broken bone spurs to attack the Grey Wolf stall owner. Tiske, you really won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. The Grey Wolf stall owner shook his head, looking as if he didn't care about his opponent at all. But his hands were very cautious, and he immediately directed the 2 red bone spurs to meet the attack. These 2 bone spikes were forged from the bones of a Type 2 blazing lion. Although it wasn't fast, the flowing fire effect had a special skill. When the fiery red bone spur flew in front of Yun Jioge, the red light suddenly exploded, dazzling people's eyes. Yun Jioge accidentally blinded her eyes, and became a bit absent-minded. She didn't notice that a thin gray bone spur was hiding in the shadows and approaching her. The gray wolf stall owner revealed a proud smile, feeling that tonight's extra income was already safely in his storage bag. He didn't expect his waist to suddenly go numb, and he instantly fell to the ground. "You're too careless," Zishang said to Yun Jioge while holding the gray bone spur. Yun Jioge's fighting style was still too similar to a spirit practitioner, being straightforward. In the past, she had the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip, a powerful totem that could attack and defend, so she naturally wasn't afraid of these sneak attacks. But she was now a small outer sect disciple of the Een Corpse sect, so she was at a disadvantage if she used her previous fighting style. "I won't do it next time." Yun Jioge also knew that she was a bit careless. These Een Corpse sect outer sect disciples didn't have much cultivation, but they had a lot of tricks up their sleeves. If she continued like before, she would suffer sooner or later. Zishang saw that Yun Jioge knew her mistake, so he didn't say anything more. With a hook of his finger, he took the gray wolf stall owner's storage bag and gave it to Yun Jioge. After Yun Jioge opened it, she first took out the gray bear beast bone. Then she glanced at the gray wolf stall owner's storage bag, and realized that this guy was a rich man. Other than more than 3,000 spirit jades and a mess of pills and herbs, there was also a complete set of black and red bone spurs. He couldn't tell what material it was made of, but there were a total of 5 of them, and they were all in the shape of a sharp knife. The 3 deep blood grooves in the middle were very sharp, and there were secret patterns engraved on them. They were all stained with blood, and were actually refined using the blood refining method. "This is a set of evil weapon, it has already been refined by him, you can't use it." Zishang glanced at the set of bone spurs. If the Grey Wolf stall owner used the set of bone spurs to deal with Yun Jioge, the battle would have ended in an instant. To be able to use 5 bone spurs, he must at least be at the peak of chi condensation. With this kind of cultivation, he would definitely be a big shot in the first peak. However, Yun Jioge was masked today, so he wasn't afraid of being recognized. Yun Jioge didn't care about those pills and herbs, and he couldn't use the bone spurs. The only thing that was useful was the 3,000 spirit jades. Yun Jioge put away the spirit jades without hesitation. According to Zishang at this time, it was better to silence him. However, Yun Jioge felt that this guy had some luck, and he might be useful if he was kept alive. When Yun Jioge returned the storage bag to the Grey Wolf stall owner, he pulled down the Grey Wolf stall owner's cloak, revealing a handsome face with a strong personality. Although his eyes were closed, Yun Jioge could still see his deep brows, high nose bridge, slightly tanned skin, and he looked very boorish, different from the handsome people of the Central Plains. If little Fatty was here, he would definitely tell Yun Jioge that this Grey Wolf stall owner was the strongest disciple of the first peak, Wolf Fong. It was said that he had already been appointed as the personal disciple of Elder White Bones, and was even given a foundation establishment pill. Wolf Fong also had a cave in White Bones Peak, and he rarely moved around the first peak. Today he purposely came here to lure Yun Jioge, but he didn't expect to be plotted against by Yun Jioge. This guy has been poisoned. Yun Jioge noticed that there was a faint pink color under the Grey Wolf stall owner's collarbone. It looked like countless peach blossom petals stacked together. However, it was really strange for such an incomparably enchanting color to appear on such a big man. Peach blossom charming bone poison, the unique aphrodisiac of the Joyous Union sect. The poisoned person must have intercourse with the female disciples of the sect for 7 days and 7 nights in order to get rid of the poison. Zishang could tell the source of the poison with a single glance. 7 days and 7 nights. Even a Jingu Bang would be ground into a needle by water. Chapter 301. Yun Jioge had also heard of this aphrodisiac. It was said that once it took effect, it would not even let off a sow. She counted the peach blossom petals on the Grey Wolf stall owner's body. There were a total of 9 petals. It could be seen that the Grey Wolf stall owner had been poisoned for a period of time, and it was unknown how he managed to survive. I heard that aside from stimulating a man's male hormones, this poison also has a special effect on certain materials such as spirit bones. Is that true? Yun Jioge asked Zishang. Why don't you take some from him and try it? Zishang could tell that Yunjioga's hands were itching to get rid of the poison. Alright, for the sake of the 3,000 spirit jades, I will be merciful and save his life, Yunjioga said as she tore off the gray wolf vendor's clothes, revealing his muscular upper body. Needless to say, his figure was really not bad. His muscles contained strength, and one look and you could tell that he was a macho man. Zishang frowned when he saw Yunjioga taking off a man's clothes. He was extremely displeased. Yunjioga was busy studying the poison and did not realize that he had touched Zishang's reverse scale. This poison is truly interesting. Yunjioga's eyes shone with excitement. Generally, the way to dispel the aphrodisiac was to relieve it by masturbating. However, the peach blossom charming bone poison was the exact opposite. The more you masturbated, the deeper the poison would be. Even if you used up all your yang energy and broke your penis, it would still be useless. In the end, they would still die a horrible death from the poison. This gray wolf stall owner probably knew how powerful this poison was, so he had been holding it in after he was poisoned. Now it wasn't hard to get rid of it. Central Shinkei. Yunjioga quickly found the acupuncture points to detoxify. The thunderfire needle flashed with a pale purple light and pierced it from top to bottom, from left to right, and began to expel the poison. Drops of pink liquid seeped out of the gray wolf stall owner's wheat-colored skin, making him look like an adorable flower. Speaking of which, the gray wolf stall owner was quite lucky. The outer sex-in skill that he practiced had an innate cold-blooded effect. It had a certain suppressive effect on this kind of aphrodisiac, which was why he could endure it for so long. If an ordinary spiritualist was poisoned, he would have died of hunger and thirst long ago. After Yunjioga forced the peach blossom charming bone poison out, he carefully collected it in a jade bottle. Thank Big Sister. It's not a waste to spend 3,000 spirit jades. Yunjioga kindly helped the gray wolf stall owner find a safe place to hide before leaving. Wolf woke up very quickly. Before he could fully open his eyes, he immediately went to check his storage bag. F***ck. As soon as he opened it, he discovered that all the spirit jades were gone. Even the big bone that he usually used as a mount for the bear beast was gone. Mother f***ker, it must be the guy who bought the Gale wolf bone from me today. Wolf Fang's intuition had always been sharp. He had always felt that the big bone was very unusual. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't find out the secret behind it, so he kept it with him as a stool. He didn't expect that it would be snatched away by someone who knew what it was. Humph, if I find out who it is, I will definitely have my revenge today. Wolf Fang secretly decided in his heart. It just so happened that those 4 Gale wolf bones were very conspicuous. As long as he dared to take them out and use them, he would definitely discover them. Wolf stood up from the ground. Suddenly he felt that something was wrong with his body. He hadn't felt that relaxed feeling in a long time. He pulled down his lapel and looked down. He found that the peach blossom petal that the Hahuan sect woman had made under his collarbone had disappeared. Then he reached down and touched the Jingu Bang, which was always bulging, also calmed down a lot. Could it be that the poison has been cured? Wolf was overjoyed. Previously, he had chased a Gale wolf into the bewildering beast forest of the Hahuan sect. He was careless and was sneak attacked by that group of little wenches, almost being toyed to death by them. He spent a lot of effort to escape. Unfortunately, he couldn't find someone who knew how to cure the poison. He could only circulate his chi every day to freeze 3 inches below his navel. The feeling of his little dick being frozen was not good. He thought that if he couldn't find anyone, he could only bite the bullet and find his future master, the White Bones Elder. He didn't expect that after being beaten up today the poison would be cured. Originally, Wolf Fang wanted to find the robbers to settle the debt. Now, he suddenly felt that it would be very beneficial to know such a powerful expert. There were too few people in the Yin Corp sect who could refine pills and cure poisons. Yunjioga didn't know that Wolf Fang was thinking of ways to hug her thigh. After she came back, she prepared a bottle of black ink and soaked the bones of the Tempest Wolf in it. These bones were very rare among the outer sect disciples. It would be too conspicuous to take it out directly. It had to be processed first. After Yunjioga processed the 4 bones of the Gale wolf, she took out the big bear beast bone and asked the treasure-seeking scorpion, "What kind of treasure is this? Why didn't it have any spiritual energy?" "I don't know. I just saw 2 spots in the middle that were particularly bright. It's definitely a treasure." The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its big pincers and said confidently, "Light spots." Yunjioga couldn't find any clues after turning it over and over, so she asked Zishang, "Do you see the light spots?" "I am not a treasure-seeking demon." Zishang was only interested in those things that could supplement his demonic power. Forget it. Let's cut it first. Yunjioga was a man of his word. He took out a knife, and under the guidance of the treasure-seeking scorpion, he cut off the 2 light spots. Then he slowly polished them. Finally he found 2 thumb-sized beads in the gray bone seam. It was also gray and dull, without any spiritual energy, let alone light. This is the inner core of a pearlfish? Zishang's eyes were sharp this time. He recognized it at a glance. Does a pearlfish also have an inner core? Although Yunjioga had never seen one before, the 2 stones in her hand didn't look like one. It's probably because it was petrified for too long that its spiritual energy was sealed. Zishang took the small beads from Yunjioga's hand and gently squeezed them. Finally, there were only 2 white beads the size of rice grains left in her palm, shining with a soft light. This kind of pearlfish is the bear beast's favorite food. Only 2 out of 100,000 can cultivate an orb. I think this bear beast accidentally swallowed these 2 pearlfish into its stomach, but unfortunately, it was killed before it could digest them. In the end, the orb fused with the bear's bones. These were all Zishang's guesses, but he felt that the truth shouldn't be too far off. What's the use of this inner core? Can it be eaten? Yunjioga swallowed her saliva. She felt that after practicing the 10,000 beast spell, she had become much more beastly. This inner core has been left for too long. You can't eat it. Zishang was afraid that Yunjioga would have a problem eating it. He didn't like it either. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the treasure-seeking scorpion said embarrassedly, "Master, can you give my wife one? My wife is about to evolve recently." What is your wife going to evolve into? Is it also a treasure-seeking scorpion? Yunjioga asked. She remembered that treasure-seeking scorpions were born as spirit beasts. She had never heard of an ordinary scorpion evolving into one. Chapter 302. Yeah, I didn't expect my wife to have such an opportunity. If she evolves successfully, it will be much easier for us to have children in the future. The treasure-seeking scorpion had always wanted a child, and it would be best if it could look like its wife. It would definitely be a beautiful child. At that time, the family of 3 could not only search for treasures together, but also help its master fight, which would definitely make more money for revenge. I didn't expect the inner core of the pearlfish to have such benefits. Yunjioga sighed. She and Zishang had used a lot of it, so it didn't matter if she gave it to the treasure-seeking scorpion. The treasure-seeking scorpion had been with her for a long time, and it had made contributions and worked hard, so it was not too much to ask for an inner core. She was about to agree when the little skeleton monkey squatting in the corner suddenly walked over. Its soul fire jumped crazily as it looked at the inner core on Yunjioga's hand, and its desire was overflowing. "Master, I asked first, so it has to be behind me." The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately became nervous, really worried that Yunjioga would refuse it. After all, this new skeleton monkey helped its master get a lot of yin energy for cultivation, so it was much more useful than it. "You're just a skeleton, what are you doing? Go away." Yunjioga waved his hand. The skeleton didn't have an inner core, so it would be a waste to give it to it. The soul fire in the eyes of the little skeleton monkey immediately dimmed, and it looked like it could be extinguished at any time. Okay, I'll make a bucket of yin energy water for you to drink." Yunjioga felt that she really owed it. But there was no other way. Without this little skeleton monkey, she couldn't get so much yin energy, so she could only coax it. Crack, crack. The little skeleton monkey shook its big head happily, and its soul fire jumped happily again. "Good boy, go back and stay. I'll make it for you later." After coaxing the little skeleton monkey back, Yunjioga rewarded the treasure-seeking scorpion with an inner core of the pearlfish and 2 bottles of cherry pills. After all, it was the one who found the inner core of the pearlfish. Although it couldn't use it, it still had to be encouraged. "Thank you, master." The treasure-seeking scorpion was so happy that it almost popped up. Its previous masters all used it as a tool. No matter what treasures they found, they would not think of it. Instead, they would abuse it and its wife. Only this current master was the most generous. The treasure-seeking scorpion used its pincers to carry the inner core and the cherry pill into the sack to look for its wife. "Wife, look, this is the inner core and sugar pill that master gave to me. Eat it and you'll become like me." The treasure-seeking scorpion placed the inner core in front of his wife and said proudly, "So many?" The female scorpion's eyes widened. It had been preparing to evolve recently and was starving every day. It could not wait to stuff the inner elixir into its mouth, then opened the bottle of cherry elixir and wolfed it down. The female scorpion stuffed one by one into its mouth, as if it hadn't eaten for hundreds of years. The treasure-seeking scorpion secretly swallowed its saliva and kept trying to persuade its wife. Wife, eat slowly. No one is fighting with you. The female scorpion swallowed 19 cherry pills in one go. She only remembered the treasure-seeking scorpion when there was only one left. She immediately pushed it in front of him in embarrassment. Honey, eat it. I won't eat it. The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers and pushed it back. It chuckled and said, eat more and nourish your body. Then you can help me give birth to little scorpions. After the female scorpion ate the last cherry pill, it did not forget to slap the treasure-seeking scorpion shyly with its stinger. You're dead. The treasure-seeking scorpion was slapped away, but its face was still filled with happiness. In the past, it had taken a fancy to its wife's strong body and powerful stinger. It had been a long time since it was slapped. It felt so good. Yun Jioga looked at the interaction between the treasure-seeking scorpion couple in amusement. The female scorpion had really changed a lot after being raised by her for a period of time. The scars from Lu Yunfei's abuse had completely disappeared. Its brown carapace emitted a faint purple glow. Its body was even thicker than the treasure-seeking scorpion, and its stinger was thick and long. It was obvious that it was well nourished. Fat scorpion, why don't you give the remaining pearl inner core to your wife? Yun Jioga was quite confident in the female scorpion. She believed that in time, the female scorpion would definitely give birth to a group of healthy scorpion babies. If they were all treasure-seeking scorpions, then she would be rich. She would be able to collect treasures just by sitting down every day. No need, one is enough. The treasure-seeking scorpion quickly shook its head. It hesitated for a moment, then said, Master, why don't you give the one you gave birth to the fat rat? What? Yun Jioga raised her eyebrows. The treasure-seeking scorpion had not been here for long, and the skinny rat had fallen asleep. The two of them should not be friends. I have a feeling that my wife's evolution has something to do with that sleeping fat rat. The treasure-seeking scorpion could not explain that feeling. It felt that the fat rat should also be a treasure, but it could not see any clues. For such a situation to occur, either the fat rat was useless, or it was too awesome for the treasure-seeking scorpion to understand. The treasure-seeking scorpion felt that the latter was more likely. All right, I'll give it to it. Yun Jioga took out the black fat rat from the cloth bag. The flower spirit pearl that was previously placed in its arms had disappeared, but it still showed no signs of awakening. You stinking brat, when are you going to sleep? You ate so many of my treasures. Just wait to be a slave for the rest of your life. Yun Jioga rubbed the head of the black fat rat and thought of the fat baby it had transformed into. What on earth was this guy? It was really curious. Yun Jioga stuffed the pearlfish's inner core into the black fat rat's arms. It seemed to feel that this was a good thing, and it hugged the inner core and curled up even tighter. Yun Jioga ravaged it again, then put it back into the cloth bag. She took out the little female parasite for inspection. The pink cocoon's color had deepened a lot, and it was a light cherry red. The life aura coming from it was also very stable, but there was no sign of it hatching. Yun Jioga crushed a cherry pill and put it on the cocoon. After it finished absorbing and recuperating, she put it back into the cloth bag. It was already late at night. After the treasure-seeking scorpion couple had their fill, they snuggled together and fell asleep. Yun Jioga was tired after being busy for most of the night. She yawned and was about to go back to bed to rest. When she turned around, she saw Zishang standing silently behind her. His handsome face was so dark that it seemed like it was about to drip water. Are you trying to scare me to death in the middle of the night? Yun Jioga patted her chest. Although Zishang's image was very beautiful, he was also very sinister. When he didn't speak, he was quite scary. You're scared? Then why were you so bold when you took off the man's clothes just now? Zishang's gray eyes were dark. The corners of his mouth were tightly pursed, and his whole body was full of the aura of a king who was not in a good mood. If the king was not happy, you little slut, hurry up and kneel down to apologize. What do you mean by taking off the man's clothes? I was treating a patient and saving a person. Besides, I received a consultation fee of 3,000 spirit jades. Yun Jioga would not admit this crime even if she was beaten to death. Chapter 303. I remember that I was the one who defeated that guy. Zishang's eyes were cold. The 3,000 spiritual jades should have been his spoils of war, not a consultation fee. We're so familiar with each other. Why are you so calculative? Come, let's dual cultivate for a bit. It'll be your compensation. Yun Jioga winked at Zishang and pushed him onto the bed. Do it yourself. Zishang lay on the bed and stared at Yun Jioge with his gray eyes. I'll do it myself. Yun Jioge went up without hesitation. At first it was a little painful. What could she do? Zishang was just too big. Fortunately he only had one stick in his human form. If 2 sticks came at her at once she would definitely die. After Yun Jioge got used to it she began to cultivate seriously. Her long, slender and fair legs moved up and down. She looked very alluring. At first, Zishang felt like he was watching a show but soon he couldn't take it anymore. However, Yun Jioge seemed to be enjoying herself. It made him so angry that his teeth itched. Too slow. Zishang's eyes were dark, and he felt like a storm was brewing. It's not like we're in a hurry. Come at me if you can. Yun Jioge panted slightly. This position was very strenuous. It wasn't easy to be fast. Zishang's gray eyes flashed dangerously. He grabbed Yun Jioge's slender waist and lifted her up. He lifted her up forcefully and landed heavily on the ground. The huge force pierced through Yun Jioge like a javelin, stimulating her spine like a bolt of electricity. Yun Jioge trembled. Her strength was instantly sucked away by the strong feeling, and her body went limp. You're going to die. Yun Jioge pressed her hands against Zishang's chest and glared at him. Unfortunately, her slightly red eyes didn't have any killing power. Be serious. Zishang's face was stern, and he slapped her mercilessly. Then he held her waist and began to exert force. Every time he lifted her waist, Zishang would move back slightly. After putting as much distance between them as possible, he put her down. The violent aura was like a flood dragon in the sea, and the frequency was like rain on a banana leaf. Pure energy gathered in Yun Jioge's dantian and flowed through all the meridians in her body. Slow down. Yun Jioge's voice was hurried, and his words were stuttering. It was impossible for him to maintain his previous leisurely demeanor. Today, break through to the 4th level of Qi Disciple in one go. If you can't reach it, don't even think about coming down. Zishang did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. He was determined to teach her a lesson today. I just broke through the 3rd level of Qi refinement last month. Yun Jioge was about to cry. Her current accumulation was not enough for her to make another breakthrough. If she wanted to advance, she could only rely on the aura of the purple deceased sword. Wouldn't that mean that she would die in this place? Thank me, you will become the outer sect disciple with the fastest cultivation speed. Zishang's gray eyes were dark and gloomy. The corners of his light-colored lips curled upwards, making him look indescribably cold and demonic. Yun Jioge's legs trembled and his body went limp. It wasn't because of the sun but because he was scared. She felt that she would definitely become very, very miserable. Outside the house, the Lu sisters were endlessly hesitating. Sister, senior brother Yun Jio has not left the house for 3 days and 3 nights. Could something have happened to him? Lu Tian'er asked worriedly. Previously, when Yun Jio went into seclusion to cultivate, he would inform the Lu sisters in advance. This time he went into seclusion for 3 days without a word, making the 2 sisters extremely worried. One had to know that they were about to run out of Yin energy pills and gathering Yin pills. What would they do if they couldn't find someone to collect the pills from? They had already tasted the taste of good pills. If they were to go back and eat low-level pills, they would probably not be able to adapt. Don't be afraid. Senior brother Yun Jio has the protection of the 1,000-year-old corpse. He will be fine. Lu Mei-er was not worried about this. There was no one in the outer sect who was a match for the 1,000-year-old corpse. Sister, do you think senior brother Yun Jio will help us refine the bones? Lu Tian'er asked again. The 2 sisters came to find Yun Jio not only to get the pills, but also to ask Yun Jio to help refine 2 spirit bones. That was why they were standing guard at the door. Let's ask first. Lu Mei-er did not have much confidence in this. It would be better if they only asked Yun Jio, but they also needed the 1,000-year-old corpse this time. They were afraid that it would not be so simple. Just when the 2 sisters were feeling uneasy and wondering if they should send another message, the door finally opened. Come in. Yun Jioji's voice was weak and hoarse, as if he had been shouting for a long time. The Lu sisters hurriedly entered the room and did not forget to close the door. Senior brother Yun Jio, what happened to you? Lu Tian'er was shocked when she saw Yun Jioji's swollen eyes and his body was hollowed out. Nothing, sit. Yun Jiogu weakly asked the 2 sisters to sit down. Senior brother, you're in the 4th stage of Qi training? Lu Mei-er's eyes became sharper, and she immediately noticed that Yun Jiogu was different. Really? Lu Tian'er's eyes widened. She remembered that Yun Jiogu had just advanced to the 3rd stage of Qi training when he gave them the pills last month. It had only been a month and he advanced again. Yes, I'm in the 4th stage of Qi training. Yunjiogu said weakly, not happy at all. Senior brother, how did you do it? Teach us. Lu Tian'er asked impatiently. If they could learn the secret method, they would be able to go back and take revenge sooner. Lu Mei'er also wanted to know, but she was more cautious than her sister. She would think before asking. Once again she discovered something unusual. Yun Jiuji's 1,000-year-old corpse sat silently in the shadows. His usually expressionless handsome face revealed a satisfied expression, and he would occasionally look at Yun Jiugu with possessive eyes. This expression reminded Lu Mei'er of a male beast when he conquered a female. Her heart skipped a beat, and she immediately knew how Yun Jiugu advanced quickly. She and her sister could not learn this method. Seeing that Lu Tian'er wanted to continue asking, Lu Mei'er quickly pulled her back and said with a smile, Sister, didn't you say you found 2 good spirit bones and wanted to ask senior brother Yunjio for help? Why don't you take them out quickly? Lu Tian'er was stunned. Although she did not know why her sister didn't let her ask, she followed along and changed the topic. Yes, senior brother Yunjio, a few days ago we found 2 earth spirit mouse bones at Jean Lin's place. Senior brother, please help us take a look. As she spoke, she took out 2 earthy yellow bones from her storage bag. They were 3 feet long, and the surface of the bones glowed with a faint yellow light. Although they were not very thick, the light was quite full. Yun Jiugu picked up the spirit bones and examined them carefully. He nodded, these bones are not bad. The sisters had earth spirit roots, so the bones of the earth spirit mouse were very suitable for them. Chapter 304. And these 2 spirit bones cost us all our savings. Now we can't even find a Yin spirit master to help us carve runes. Lu Linger pitifully said. This earth spirit mouse burrowed very quickly and was very hard to catch. 2 spirit bones cost them all their savings. I still have 1,000 contribution points. If you want I can lend it to you first. These bones are so good, it's better to find a Yin spirit master to refine them. Yun Jioga said. Yin spirit masters were a branch of refiners. They were experts at crafting all kinds of evil runes. They were also the most common refiners in the evil and demonic sections. To become a Yin spirit master, not only did one need to have talent in crafting, they also needed money to learn runes. Normally large sects would need to spend a lot of resources to train one. The Yin Corps sect had their own refining hall with 12 Yin spirit masters. For level 5 Yin spirit masters were there to serve the inner sect disciples. The rest were for low-level disciples to refine. But even so, the fees were very expensive. Carving a rune cost 500 contribution points. If an outer sect disciple wanted to get a good set of bone spurs, they would need to save up for a long time. 1,000 contribution points is not enough. The Lu sisters bitterly shook their heads. If they wanted to refine this set of bone spurs, they would need at least 4,000 contribution points. It was too expensive, they couldn't afford it. Then what do you plan to do? Yun Jioga believed that the 2 sisters did not come to find him just to complain about being poor. Senior Yun Jio, can you let Senior Yin Corpse help us refine it? Lu Tian'er carefully asked. The 1,000-year-old corpse's Yin Qi was very strong. If he spat out a few mouthfuls of Yin Qi, the quality of the spirit bone would immediately increase by 1 level. At that time, even if he didn't refine runes, he would still be able to display the greatest power. You can ask him yourself. Yun Jioga's face immediately sunk. That damn Zishang forced her to dual cultivate for 3 days and 3 nights. Although her cultivation went up, she lost half of her life. Now she couldn't even close her legs. Just thinking about dual cultivation made her scalp tingle. She didn't want to talk to that pervert at all. If senior brother feels troubled, then just say it. There is no need to make fun of us sisters. Lu Mei'er said with a bitter face. Although these 1,000-year-old corpses were powerful, they were not powerful enough to communicate with humans. To a large extent, the contractor's attitude represented them. That's right, I'm indeed in a difficult position. You guys don't know how perverted this 1,000-year-old corpse is. Rather than asking him for help, you might as well ask those Yin spiritualists for free. Yun Jioga took the opportunity to ridicule. She wasn't purposely making things difficult for the Lu sisters. It was just that apart from being at the level of an old corpse, everything else about Zishang was fake. The Yin Qi on his body was used to show off. How could he use it to refine the bones of the Lu sisters? We were rude. The Lu sisters smiled awkwardly. Although they were disappointed in their hearts, they did not dare to complain. They were afraid that Yun Jio would be angry, so they still had to smile and apologize, which made them look a little cute. Yun Jioga originally wanted to vent his anger, but seeing them like this he felt a little embarrassed, so he said, "How about this? Leave the two spirit bones here first and I'll think of a way." She still wanted to use the two sisters to deal with Su Junqing, so she had to give them some benefits when necessary. Moreover, improving their strength would also be helpful to him. Because in the Een Corps sect, the two sisters were the only people she trusted. "Thank you, senior martial brother." The Lu sisters happily left the spirit bone behind and took their leave. When the two sisters returned to the house, Lu Tian'er whispered, "Sister, why didn't you let me ask senior brother Yunjiao about his secret cultivation method?" "Silly girl, you didn't see senior's face just now. He really ate and drank to his heart's content." Lu Meier gave her sister a look, letting her understand it herself. Lu Tian'er immediately understood that senior brother Yunjiao's cultivation was obtained by selling his body. She could not help but swallow her saliva and said with a little fear, 7 days and 7 nights? It's not that easy to advance quickly. Lu Meier had always been a little jealous of Yunjiao's good life. Now that she saw that he was not having an easy time, she was a little happy. "Sister, we also need to work harder. We can't be left behind by senior brother Yunjiao." Lu Tian'er had a serious expression. The relationship between the two sisters and Yunjiao was one of mutual benefit. If they were left too far behind by him, they would not be able to follow him in the future. "Yes, you're right." Lu Meier nodded solemnly and said, "Then let's start cultivating. Since dual cultivation is faster, let's do it as well." After saying that, Lu Tian'er took off the clothes on her body, revealing a fair and smooth body that was as beautiful as white jade. Following that, Lu Meier also took off the clothes on her body. Her jade-like skin was filled with crisscrossing dark red whip marks. It was simply a ghastly sight. Especially on her left shoulder blade, there were 2 small black and red words, "Slave." One look and one could tell that it was branded with a branding iron and evil blood ink. This kind of slave imprint went deep into the bone marrow. Unless the person who made the imprint was killed and wiped with his blood, it would never be removed. Lu Tian'er's eyes were slightly red. Her slender fingers trembled as she caressed the shameful imprint on her sister's back. Every time she saw the scars on her sister's body, her heart would be filled with hatred and anger. Back then, her uncle said that he had found a new master for them. She did not expect that he would sell them to an evil old monster in exchange for a rank 3 upper-grade rhinoceros spirit bone. That evil old monster was a pervert. His methods of torturing and humiliating people were endless. After he exchanged the two sisters, he started to torture her sister and left her untouched. That evil old monster's mentality was as if he had bought 2 identical toys. First he played with one, then he played with the next. Lu Tian'er watched her sister being tortured. Day and night she thought of helping her escape. Lu Meier was also worried that her sister would suffer after her death. She also wanted to save her sister from the abyss of suffering. Unfortunately, the evil old monster had placed a restriction on the two sisters. They were unable to use their spiritual energy and could not use the Lu family's unique paper doll evil technique. Later on, Lu Tian'er accidentally discovered her special physique. Only then did she think of a way to escape. "If you did not give me your primordial Een, my cultivation speed would definitely be faster now." Lu Meier always felt that it was a pity that her sister had given her primordial Een to her in order to escape. It was such a waste. "Sister, I am willing to give it to you. It is better than giving it to those disgusting, stinky men." Lu Tian'er hugged her sister's naked body. The two sisters were naked. They quietly hugged each other. There was only the purest kinship between them. They were twin sisters. They had been together since they were born. They had enjoyed blessings and suffered together. They must live and die together. "Okay, let's start cultivating." Lu Meier loosened her arms and gently patted her sister's head. "Okay. My goal this time is to advance to Qi Disciple Level 3. Lu Tian'er smiled sweetly. She sat down cross-legged and started cultivating with her sister. Chapter 305. Yun Jioga didn't know that her advancement to the 4th level of Qi Disciple had greatly stimulated the Lu sisters' motivation to cultivate. At this moment she was seriously studying the 2 Earth Spirit mouse bones, thinking about how to refine them. "You can't get these 2 bones?" Zishang asked. It wasn't that he looked down on Yun Jioga, but this girl's attainments in runes were terrible. "It's not your fault if I can't refine them." Yun Jioga was still angry and decided to ignore Zishang, this pervert. Fine, then you refine them yourself." Zishang wasn't angry and decided to watch her torment herself. Yun-Jyoga carefully studied the bones and found that they didn't have any advantages in terms of attack, speed, and weight. The only advantage was that the earth's spiritual power was connected to the ground so it could travel freely in the ground. She instantly thought of the gray thorn that the gray wolf vendor used to sneak attack. It was indeed difficult to guard against it when it was hidden in the shadows. It seemed that these bones still had to take the route of sneak attack and plot. Yun-Jyoga had an idea, so it was easy to do. Although she didn't know how to refine tools or carve runes, she knew how to refine pills. All things in the world were the same. The Lu sisters only wanted to improve the quality of the spirit bone, not to forge it into a divine tool. They just needed to refine the earth's spiritual power inside. Yun-Jyoga immediately opened the small bronze cauldron and threw the 2 bones inside. She also threw in a few spirit herbs that could increase the concentration of earth's spiritual power and started to refine. An hour later, the originally 3 feet long earth spirit bone was only 7 inches long. The yellow light on it was extremely rich, ensuring that it could move freely in the soil. Yun-Jyoga looked at the 4 short spirit bones and felt that something was missing. She thought for a moment and dripped a drop of the peach blossom charming bone poison she collected from the gray wolf vendor. After the light yellow earth spirit bone absorbed the pink poison, the light suddenly soared and then disappeared in an instant. The originally yellow bone became gray without any light, as if it had completely lost its spiritual power. However, Yun-Jyoga knew that the peach blossom charming bone poison completely stimulated the earth's spiritual power of the spirit bone and then buried it deeply. In this way, the explosive power of the earth spirit bone was stronger, and after being concentrated, it would be poisoned. Of course, the aphrodisiac that he had absorbed was not as potent as before. Although it wouldn't make people want to have sex with the sow the moment they saw it, it would still make the enemy's blood and chi surge and cause their minds to be in chaos. It could also be used to catch them off guard at critical moments. Yun-Jyoga was very satisfied with the bone that he had refined. After putting it into a paper bag, he looked at Zishang with pride. "You said I couldn't do it, but I did it anyway. Using this bone as a medicinal ingredient to refine? Not only is your idea interesting, it can also play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. Not bad, not bad." Zishang was the first to affirm Yun-Jyoga's idea. "Of course. Your sister is not someone who can't do anything without you. But haven't you forgotten something?" Zishang pointed to the corner of the room. There was a stone vat there, and it was covered tightly with a lid, making it airtight. Yun-Jyoga was stunned. Only now did she remember that her precious gale wolf bone was still soaking in the water. Yun-Jyoga quickly opened the lid and found that the 4 cyan gale wolf bones had turned black. The wind's spiritual energy on the surface had fused into the bone marrow. Even if the gray wolf stall owner stood there, he wouldn't be able to recognize it. Although the color was a little darker, the bone structure did not change. Otherwise, she would have cried her eyes out. Yun-Jyoga carefully took out the gale wolf bones. These wolf bones were 2 grades higher than the Lu sisters' earth spirit bones. Not only were they very fast, but they also had strong attack power. There was no need to refine them. They could be used directly by carving runes on them. Thinking of this, Yun-Jyoga couldn't help but sneak a glance at Zishang. This guy was the real expert in carving runes. How could she forget about these 4 bones? Even if she wanted to beg Zishang now, she couldn't bring herself to do it. "Let me see." Zishang didn't want to put on airs. After all, he had ruthlessly taught Yun-Jyoga a lesson in the past 3 days. Now he had to give her a taste of sweetness. Yun-Jyoga quickly handed the bones over and said, "I want to forge these 4 bones into a set of bone spikes." She planned to carve the runes of sharp metal and broken bone on each bone to increase its attack power. Apart from these 2 basic runes, she also wanted to carve the runes of hallucination, poison, paralysis needle, flying escape, and bloodthirst on the 4 bones. When the time came, it would be covered in a dense fog which would make it difficult to hide. The poison gas would spread in all directions, and it would be an area of effect attack. The paralysis needle could be used for sneak attacks, and the bloodthirst could not only increase its attack power, but it could also restore its health. It was simply perfect. "I can't carve that many." Zishang's face darkened. This girl's requirements were too much. "Alright, then you can carve whatever you want." Yun-Jyoga's face was full of regret. These gale wolf bones were still not enough. How good would it be if she could obtain a divine tier spirit bone? Of course, she was just fantasizing about it. With the current level of the treasure-seeking scorpion, it was impossible for it to find a divine tier bone. Zishang finally carved the broken bone, hallucination, poison, and bloodthirst runes. These 4 runes blended perfectly with the runes on the bone, leaving no trace at all. Zishang, you're really amazing. Yun Jioga took the 4 bone spikes lovingly and was not stingy with her compliments. Zishang's handsome face revealed a matter-of-fact expression. Was there even a need for compliments? Come, let's find a place to try it out. Yun Jioga couldn't wait to try out her new magic tool. It was already late at night. Even the evil sects would rarely be active in the middle of the night. Everywhere was quiet. Yun Jioga and Zishang arrived at a wasteland. After confirming that there was no one around, they began to try out the Gale Wolf bone spikes. Yun Jioga pinched her fingers and the 4 black bone spikes silently floated up, perfectly hidden in the darkness. Go! Yun Jioga waved her finger. A large rock in front of her shattered without a sound, and the 4 bone spikes flashed and returned to her side. The attack speed was very fast as expected of the name Gale. The other effects were also very good, better than what Yun Jioga had imagined. Yun Jioga experimented until the sky was slightly bright. Only then did she return to her house to rest, satisfied. The next afternoon Yun Jioga got up, organized a few bottles of Yin condensation pills, wrapped the earth spirit bone, and prepared to look for the Lu sisters. At that moment little fatty Jin Lin came to find her first. Senior brother Yun Jio, I've already found out what Su Juanqing's mission is. Oh, what mission is it? Yun Jioga asked even though she already knew the answer. His mission is to lead our Peak 2 disciples below Qi Refinement Stage 5 to a small mystic realm for training. When little fatty said this, his usually carefree face showed a hint of worry. Chapter 306. Is there anything special about this little secret realm? Yun Jioga asked. The environment inside the little secret realm is very dangerous. There are barren hills and unruly rivers, and there are miasma and fierce beasts everywhere. Also, only cultivators below the 5th layer of Qi refinement can enter. Before little fatty could finish, Yun Jioga interrupted him. Isn't Su Juanqing a Foundation establishment cultivator? How can he enter this secret realm? Our Yin Corpse sect has a secret technique that allows him to suppress his cultivation to enter. But even so, there is a limit to the number of people who can enter. Normally there are no more than 5 people. Everyone has to lead the team, otherwise the secret realm will collapse, little fatty explained. All the spiritual energy in this little secret realm was used to feed the human-faced peaches, so the realm was very unstable. If someone with a high cultivation went in, it would collapse. This human-faced peach was a good thing. Apart from being full of Yin Qi, it also contained the aura of flesh and blood. It was the best thing for the Yin Corpse sect to feed their Yin Corpses. Especially when the Yin Corpses advanced, it was a must-have item. So every year the Yin Corpse sect would send disciples into the secret realm to collect these human-faced peaches. Although Su Juanqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, he could not have everything he wanted. There were many things that he had to fight for himself. When Yun Jioga heard this, her hands started to tremble. She had thought that Su Juanqing would enter as a Foundation establishment cultivator. At that time she could only ask Zishang to kill him. Who would have thought that he would suppress his cultivation to enter? This way she would have the chance to kill him personally. Yun Jioga suppressed the excitement in her heart and continued to ask, is there anything worth paying attention to in this little secret realm? There are many things worth paying attention to. However, the main point of this tempering exercise is the competition between the various outer sect peaks. Only the peak with the most human-faced peaches will be able to emerge victorious. At that time, the disciple who leads the team will be rewarded. I have a name list here. You can take a look later. Also, the senior brother leading the team will arrange for us to do some missions, so it is important to hold on to his thigh. As little fatty spoke, he handed a name list to Yun Jioga. How many contribution points for this information? Yun Jioga glanced at the name list. Su Juanqing's name was actually at the top. Next were Broom Chen and his subordinates, as well as the Lu sisters and little fatty. There were also a few hundred low-level disciples. Their names were densely packed together. Although she didn't know most of these disciples, it was always good to have a list in hand. There's no need for money this time. However, little fatty Jin Lin shook his head, then smiled ingratiatingly. As long as senior brother Yun Jio takes good care of me when you're training in the secret realm, it'll be fine. I can't guarantee that. You should just obediently collect your contribution points. Yun Jioga wouldn't even have time to kill people, so how would he have the time to take care of little fatty? Don't worry, senior brother Cloud9. I have a plan to deal with this as well. I don't need your help all the time. However, if there's anything that requires cooperation, I hope that you can consider me first. little fatty hurriedly said. He couldn't entrust his life completely to Yunjioga. All right. Yunjioga didn't know many people in the Een Corpse sect, but Lil Fatty was one of them. If they really encountered something that required cooperation, she would definitely think of Lil Fatty first. There are still 3 months left until the arcane dungeon opens. Senior brother Yunjio should take this opportunity to level up. Little Fatty added. Yunjioga had concealed his cultivation level and was still at Chi Refinement level 3. Oh, by the way, let me know if you have any good spirit bones. It was always good to refine another set of magic tools. All right. Little Fatty nodded and took his leave. Yunjioga sent Little Fatty off and went to find the Lu sisters. After giving them the refined earth spirit bones, he also informed them of Little Fatty's news. Then do we continue to cultivate in seclusion or kill Een moths? Lu Tian'er felt that there was not enough time. She wanted to refine more Een gathering pills as backup, but she also wanted more time to cultivate. We just need to kill Een moths again. The most important thing right now is to prepare the items needed to enter the arcane dungeon. Items to recover spiritual power, expel poison and ward off evil, and dispel miasma have to be prepared in advance. Yunjioga had the experience of attacking the bloodthirsty sect, so he knew that these items were very necessary. Senior brother, make a list for us. We'll prepare according to the materials. Lume was originally a little nervous. However, when she saw that Yunjioga had arranged everything in order, she felt a lot more at ease. I'll give you the list later. Kill more Een ghosts during this time and earn more contribution points. The items that Yunjioga wanted were not cheap. They could not be exchanged without enough contribution points. In the next few days, Yunjioga and the Lu sisters killed Een ghosts crazily. After exchanging a lot of contribution points, they began to buy all kinds of materials. Some well-informed disciples also began to make preparations. The atmosphere of the entire mountain peak became tense. 2 months later, the Lu sisters successfully entered the 3rd level of Chi Disciple. Yunjioga entered the 5th level of Chi Disciple. He advanced to the 5th level of Chi Disciple in less than 5 months. This kind of cultivation speed was very shocking among the outer sect disciples. In order not to attract attention, Yunjioga maintained his cultivation at the 3rd level of Chi Disciple. The Lu sisters also chose to hide their true cultivation. The strength that they revealed was the 2nd level of Chi Disciple. Just as Yunjioga and the others were nervously preparing, the disciples who would lead the 5 outer sect peaks were finally determined. The 2nd peak was led by Su Junqing. The disciple leading the 3rd peak was called Bai Lan. She was a female disciple of the Ink Flower Peak and could be considered as Su Junqing's senior sister. The disciples leading the 4th and 5th peaks were a pair of brothers. The older brother was Han Xiaodong and the younger brother was Han Xiaoxi. Although the two of them were only at the peak of Chi Disciple, they were people personally appointed by the sect master Yazicheng. Adding the two brothers working together, the 4th and 5th peaks naturally formed an alliance. No one dared to look down on them. Among the disciples who were leading the group, the most unexpected one was actually Wolf Fang leading the group. This direct disciple appointed by the White Bones Elder had successfully reached foundation establishment 2 months ago. After 2 months of seclusion to consolidate his cultivation, he took the initiative to lead the team to participate in this experience. The White Bones Elder had always been optimistic about this disciple. Naturally, he agreed without hesitation. He even replaced the person that had already been selected. 5 peaks, more than 5,000 disciples squeezed into a small secret realm to pick peaches. How strange. Yunjioga felt that this secret realm was not so simple. It's not your problem that it's strange. Don't you want to kill Su Junqing? Do you want to see how strong his Een corpse is? If possible, Zishang hoped that Yunjioga would personally kill Su Junqing. Of course, let's go tonight. I heard from Little Fatty that Su Junqing goes to bed on the 1st and 15th of every month. When the time comes, he should leave his Een corpse in the cave. Yunjioga had long wanted to investigate Su Junqing's background. She also wanted to see if Yunji had really been refined into a Een corpse. It was a pity that Zishang was afraid that she would act impulsively, so he didn't want her to go. Chapter 307. Once you find Yunji, bring back the treasure map. Zishang reminded him. Understood. How could Yunjioga forget the treasure map? In the dead of night, the full moon hung high in the sky and the cool moonlight fell on the ground. Zishang and Yunjioga restrained their auras and followed the small path to sneak into Ink Flower Peak. There was a defensive alarm around Ink Flower Peak. If one didn't have an inner sect disciple token, They would immediately alert the people of Ink Flower Peak if they entered. But with Zishang here, Yunjioga didn't need to worry about this barrier. The two of them smoothly entered Ink Flower Peak. Su Juanqing's cave was at the middle of Ink Flower Peak where spiritual energy was abundant. The cave was currently closed. It was clear that the master was not inside. There is a restriction in the cave. Yunjioga touched the cave door and felt a power rebound. If he forced his way in, Su Junqing would immediately know. It's just a small restriction, I'll just seal it. Zishang wasn't afraid of sect restrictions, not to mention a small cave restriction. He placed his palm on the cave door and a purple mist seeped in. Then the cave door opened. Yunjioga quickly walked in, not forgetting to close the cave door. He saw that Su Juanqing's cave was decorated very luxuriously. There was a thick red carpet on the ground and night pearls on the walls. The entire cave had a total of 3 rooms. After Yunjioga checked them one by one, he didn't find Yunji. He was a bit surprised in his heart. Did Su Junqing bring her to Ink Flower Palace? Elder Ink Flower liked to be extravagant, so he built a palace on top of Ink Flower Peak to enjoy. The favored male and female disciples all had their own rooms in the palace. But Ink Flower Palace's atmosphere wasn't suitable for cultivation, so most of the disciples stayed in their caves and left their treasures in their caves. Su Junqing had just gained a foothold in the Yin Corpse sect, and the Yin spirit female corpses he refined were very eye-catching, so he didn't bring his Yin corpses with him, afraid that others would covet them. He shouldn't have brought them to Ink Flower Peak. There's a dark room here. Zishang looked around the room and found a clue. The Yin Qi behind the wall was very dense. There was clearly something fishy going on. Yunjioga knocked on the wall and found that the switch was a luminous pearl at the corner of the wall. He pressed it hard. The wall silently opened to both sides, revealing an exquisitely decorated room. The room was not big and there was only a large mahogany bed with cloud patterns. The red curtains on the bed were embroidered with mandarin ducks playing in the water and a picture of 100 years of love. Vaguely, a woman in a red palace dress could be seen lying on the bed. That woman did not have any aura of life. She was clearly a Yin corpse. It was very likely that she was Yi Yunji. Yunjioga quickly walked to the bed and was about to lift the curtains. Suddenly, the woman in the red palace dress bounced up from the bed. Her jet-black fingernails brought with them a chilly wind as they reached for her neck. Yunjioga's reaction was extremely fast. As he retreated, he struck out with a Yin energy palm. A palm glowing with a gloomy gray light blasted toward the woman's chest. Unexpectedly, the woman in the palace dress did not evade and took Yunjioga's palm strike head-on. Yunjioga's Yin Force palm didn't send his opponent flying. Instead, it stuck tightly to the woman's body. Following that, an extremely cold aura was released from the woman's body. It entered her body through Yunjioga's palm and instantly froze her. Yunjioga couldn't move. She could only watch as the woman's jet-black fingernails stabbed toward her neck. Seeing that Yunjioga was about to be hit, Zishang finally made his move. He raised his hand and released an incomparably dense purple mist that trapped the woman in the palace dress, only leaving her head outside the purple mist. He then slapped his palm on Yunjioga's back, forcing the cold aura out of his body. Oh! Yunjioga shivered and finally caught her breath. Yin spirit physique, it really is different. Zishang praised as he looked at the corpse in front of him that could use the Yin Qi in its body to attack its opponent. If he wasn't here today, Yunjioga would have suffered a large loss. Yi Yunji. Yunjioga saw the red mole between the woman's eyebrows and immediately confirmed her identity. Yi Yunji didn't react to what Yunjioga called her. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a cold and vicious light as she stared at Yunjioga and Zishang. It was as if she wanted to charge up and bite them to death. Yin corpses don't react to anyone other than their master's orders. She should have received Su Juanqing's order to attack everyone that entered this room. Zishang had acted as an old corpse for a long time and understood the Yin corpse's emotions very well. Yi Yunji, do you still remember your brother, Yiyu? Yunjioga didn't give up and took out a bronze key. After opening it, there was a small knife that shone with a sharp light. This was the token that Yiyu had given her, and it was also the token that allowed her to cut open Yi Yunji's flesh and take the treasure map. Yi Yunji didn't react to the key. She just wanted to break free and kill these intruders. Although Yunjioga already knew that this would happen, she still felt very disappointed. Hurry up and take the treasure map from her. If too much time passes, Su Junqing will sense it. If he brings Elder Mo Hua here, it will be troublesome. Zishang reminded her. These Yin Corpse sect elders were not easy to deal with. If they were exposed, they wouldn't be able to survive. Give me her left arm. Yun Jioga helplessly gave up on the absurd idea of waking Yi Yunji and prepared to take out the treasure map. Zishang pinched his finger and the purple mist brought out Yi Yunji's left arm. Yun Jioga rolled up Yi Yunji's sleeve and used the knife to stab into her white skin. He never thought that it would bounce back. Use a bit of spiritual energy, Zishang reminded him. Yun Jioga poured his spiritual energy into the knife and used all his strength to pierce through Yi Yunji's skin. It felt like he was stabbing into dry leather. The cut revealed dark muscles, but not a single drop of blood came out. No matter how much Yi Yunji looked like a living person, her body was already a Yin corpse. Her muscles and meridians had already turned into iron bones. Zay, it really is a good Yin corpse. Zishang sighed with emotion. Normal Yin corpses needed to go through several trials before they could reach the threshold of iron bones. But Yi Yunji had been refined in one try. Moreover, the cold Yin Qi in her body could automatically attack enemies. In the future, it would be even more powerful. It was no wonder that Su Junqing wanted to lead them to the small secret realm. If he could find enough human-faced peaches, he could help Yi Yunji reach the middle stage of foundation establishment. Like this, he would be able to stabilize his footing in the Yin Corpse sect. Yun Jioga did not have the same emotions as Zishang. Instead, she felt sorrow for Yi Yunji. When she was alive, Su Junqing had ruined her family and she couldn't even keep her child. After she died, she had to be refined into a Yin corpse by Su Junqing to protect him and fight for him. How sorrowful was this? She had to get rid of Su Junqing, that heartless bastard, to take revenge for Yi Yunji. Chapter 308. Yun Jioga made up her mind and increased her strength, quickly cutting a large hole in Yi Yunji's arm, revealing the treasure map seal buried inside. Yun Jioga was about to take out the treasure map when Zishang reached out his hand to stop her. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Yun Jioga was puzzled. The treasure map was wrong, she hadn't even taken it out yet, how could he know it was wrong? Her expression isn't right. Zishang indicated Yun Jioga to look at Yi Yunji's face. Yun Jioga looked up and was instantly shocked. The originally wooden expression and dull eyes of Yi Yunji actually revealed a pained expression. The strongest point of the Yin corpses was that they didn't feel any pain or fear, they were completely battle machines. Yi Yunji's expression was too strange, too strange. Could it be that she hadn't died and still had her consciousness from when she was alive? What is going on? Yun Jioga looked at Zishang. I'm not clear, it should be related to the treasure map. Zishang had never been clear on the material of the treasure map. He only knew that there was a mysterious power contained within. Now it seemed like this mysterious power had a certain effect on Yi Yunji, who had become a Yin corpse. Yi Yunji, can you hear me? I'm here to help Yi Yu save you. Yun Jioga said in a hurried voice. Yi Yunji's face revealed a pained and confused expression. Yi Yu is your little brother. Your Yi family was exterminated by Su Junqing and only your little brother Yi Yu survived. He has always been looking for you, he has never given up. With Yun Jioga's words, Yi Yunji's pained expression became fierce. There seemed to be a small flame silently lighting up in his pitch-black eyes. When Yun Jioga said, Su Junqing not only killed your child, he also refined you into a Yin corpse. He made you protect him and help him fight, he also wanted you to capture Yi Yu and refine him into a Yin corpse. Yun Jioga had casually said this to provoke Yi Yunji, but he never thought that it would hit the nail on the head. The flame in Yi Yunji's eyes was instantly ignited, just like the soul fire of a little skeleton monkey. Her mouth opened and closed, letting out a very shaky voice filled with unforgettable hatred. Su Junqing. Yes, it's Su Junqing. Yun Jioga was so excited that he almost jumped up when he saw Yi Yunji's reaction. Oh no, Su Junqing is coming back. Let's go, Zishang suddenly said. Yi Yunji was Su Junqing's Yin corpse. If Su Junqing found anything strange, she would immediately be destroyed. There was also Elder Mo Hua. He seemed to have discovered something unusual. A powerful divine sense had already enveloped them. Yun Jioga was extremely vexed. He saw that Yi Yunji had a reaction and maybe she could turn over a new leaf. But something went wrong at this time. However, now was not the time to worry about this. As long as there was life, there was hope. He could always come back to test the waters next time. Yun Jioga quickly made a decision. He took out the black bone connection ointment and applied it on Yi Yunji's wound, sealing it tightly. As soon as the treasure map was covered, Yi Yunji's eyes immediately lost their luster. Her lifeless expression returned. Zishang placed his hand on Yi Yunji's forehead and released a corpse aura to cover the smell of the black bone connection ointment. After the two of them were done with extreme speed, They casually threw Yi Yunji onto the big mahogany bed, and dashed out of Su Junqing's cave residence. Zishang and Yun Jioga had just left the Ink Flower Peak when Su Junqing quickly returned to his cave. Coming back with him was the Ink Flower Peak's early foundation establishment disciple Bailan. Junior brother was robbed? Bailan said in a surprised voice. Bailan looked to be around 30. She had slender eyebrows, raised eyes, and a black mole under her eyes. She could be considered quite pretty. She was wearing a tight black muslin dress, revealing the deep valley on her chest. She didn't look too serious. She was the female disciple that Yun Jioga had teased when he first entered the sect. Su Junqing didn't reply to Bailan. He quickly picked Yi Yunji up from the bed and carefully examined her. He didn't find any wounds, but he found a strange corpse aura on her body. Su Junqing's face instantly became ugly. Someone must have sent high-level Yin corpses to target Yi Yunji. He never thought that he would not be able to defend against them even if he guarded day and night. Junior brother, let me take a look. Bailan had come under the orders of her master, Elder Mo Hua. Naturally she didn't dare be careless and came over to take a closer look. Does senior sister recognize this corpse aura? Su Junqing quickly asked. This corpse aura is very strange. Bailan shook her head. She had been in the Yin Corpse sect for many years and had studied the high-level Yin corpses in the sect, but she had never seen this corpse aura before. If they were targeting my Yin corpses, naturally they wouldn't use their power on the surface. Su Junqing said in a dark voice. As far as he knew, the Yin Corpse sect had never seen the demon corpses that Si Yue had brought to the bloodthirsty sect. That's possible, but junior brother doesn't need to worry. With master protecting you, no one will have any ideas on your Yin corpses. Bailan hypocritically comforted him. This new junior brother had such a good set of Yin corpses, there were many people who were jealous and envious of him. If it wasn't for master protecting him, perhaps even his bones would have been chewed off. Speaking of this, Su Junqing's skills in bed were truly amazing. Even his master, who liked the new and hated the old, was completely won over by him. Many thanks, senior sister. Su Junqing quickly calmed himself down and revealed a grateful smile to Bailan. He was very clear that there were too many people who didn't like him on Ink Flower Peak, so he always tried to please Bailan and the other favored old disciples. Junior brother doesn't need to be polite with me. Bailan placed her hand on Su Junqing's shoulder and slightly leaned to the side, making the valley in front of her chest even more alluring. This is how it should be. I will remember senior sister's kindness to me. Su Junqing gave a gentle and handsome smile. There's no need to remember it, junior brother should use your actions to express it. Bailan's small hand slid down from his shoulder to Su Junqing's chest, gently tapping it. The corners of her eyes were filled with charm. How does senior sister want me to act? Su Junqing reached out his hand to hold down Bailan's small hand. He had to obtain the human-faced peach in this little secret realm, but the other disciples leading them were all very strong. If he wanted to win, he had to find an alliance. Bailan was the best choice. Of course I'll express it like this. Bailan let out a wanton laugh. After pushing Su Junqing to the ground, she impatiently pulled off his pants and began to knead him. Su Junqing didn't think that Bailan would be this hungry, going straight to the point. He had just been emptied by Elder Mo Hua, so he couldn't even muster up any energy. But if he didn't rise up now, he would give Bailan the impression that he was a soft cannon. It would be hard to win her over in the future. Chapter 309. Su Junqing was also a ruthless person, and immediately activated the Golden Spear Invincible technique. Bailan's eyes immediately lit up, and she licked her lips with her red tongue. Although Su Junqing had heard that senior sister Bailan had learned Joyful Union sex plucking technique from Elder Mo Hua, and that she was a woman who valued lust as much as her life, he did not take it to heart. Now that he was being ridden by Bailan, he immediately felt that the barrier was showing signs of falling. Su Junqing was instantly shocked. Elder Mo Hua's cultivation was a whole realm lower than his, so she did not use the plucking technique on him. She purely treated him as a plaything, and also had the intention of slowly nurturing him before eating him. Su Junqing did not expect Bailan to be so daring as to use the plucking technique on him. If she really plucked him, it would not be as simple as his body being hollowed out. But in this situation, it was hard for him to back down. His treasure was tightly entangled by Bailan, and it was impossible to extract it. Junior brother, you're really amazing. Bailan's face was flushed and she looked very intoxicated, but she was actually very surprised. She did not expect Su Junqing to be able to resist her unexpected plucking technique. Senior sister, you're not bad either. Su Junqing played dumb, but he secretly kept his essence barrier tightly, not daring to reveal anything. Bailan made up her mind. She did not believe that she could not take down Su Junqing, so she immediately changed her position and continued to tangle with Su Junqing. The two of them fought for hundreds of rounds, messing up the things on the bed, and even the redwood bed shook until it collapsed. Yi Yunji stood quietly in the corner, her empty eyes reflecting this absurd scene. Junior brother is really amazing, no wonder master can't bear to leave you. Bailan made herself gasp for breath, and her whole body was weak, but she did not pluck at all. Although she was a little annoyed, she did not dare to say it out loud. Otherwise, if master knew that she had designs on Su Junqing, he would definitely not let her off. Senior sister is too kind. Su Junqing had fancied countless women, but this time was the worst. Although his essence barrier was guarded, his waist and treasure were in great pain. There was not a single part of his body that was unharmed, and it was filled with marks from Bailan's ruthless pinches. These marks were not visible on the skin, but it was extremely painful. In order to provoke her, Bailan had dealt a heavy blow. Let's spar again next time. Bailan did not want to continue fighting. She winked at Su Junqing, then put on her clothes and left. Although she wasn't able to pluck Su Junqing, the bed battle just now was still very satisfying. Su Junqing sent Bailan off with a smile, but when he turned around, his expression immediately darkened. He cursed fiercely, "Damn bitch, I'll kill you sooner or later." He walked to Yi Yunji's side, caressed her soft and white face and murmured, "You're still the best, these Yin Corp sect women all eat people without spitting out the bones." Naturally, Yi Yunji did not have any reaction. She just stood there blankly. Su Junqing didn't think much of it. Instead, he thought about something else. When his cultivation advanced, he would definitely not be able to escape the fate of being plucked by Elder Mo Hua. He had to make preparations in advance. The best way was to raise 2 cultivation furnaces for himself. This way he would be able to recover faster. In his mind, the best furnaces were the Lu sisters. He had also heard about the origins of the 2 sisters. Although their vital yin had been taken away just based on the fact that they were able to join the Yin Corp sect after being tortured by the evil old monsters for so long, they were definitely not simple. They were definitely good cultivation furnaces. Originally, he wanted to use Broom Chin to create trouble for the 2 sisters and then capture them like a hero. However, he didn't expect the 2 sisters to hang out with that brat Yunjio all day and cultivate in seclusion. Broom Chin couldn't find them even if he wanted to. Looks like that Yunjio can't be left alive. Su Junqing secretly made up his mind. He had to use this opportunity in the small mystic realm to get rid of that brat Yunjio and take the Lu sisters under him. Yunjioga didn't know that Su Junqing already wanted to kill her because of the Lu sisters. When she returned to the cottage, she kept thinking about Yi Yunji's abnormality. "Do you think Yi Yunji has woken up?" Yunjioga asked Zishang. "She's only recovered her obsession and hatred?" Zishang hesitated for a moment, then said, "But if she continues to evolve, she might become a heavenly corpse in the future." He still thinks highly of Yi Yunji. Can heavenly corpses recover their consciousness from when they were alive? Yunjioga was concerned about this. Just a piece of the treasure map could allow Yi Yunji to recover her obsession from when she was alive. If he buried the other pieces, wouldn't she be able to recover her consciousness from when she was alive? That would be the same as coming back to life. Zishang immediately saw through Yunjioga's intentions and warned, "Don't do anything rash." "I'm not doing anything rash." Yunjioga had an innocent expression. She was just thinking about it. "I don't know if she can recover her consciousness from when she was alive. I only know that if the Yin Corp sect finds out about her abnormality, she will never be able to leave the Yin Corp sect," Zishang said calmly. Yi Yunji's Yin spirit body was originally the best material to refine Yin corpses. However, she had already lost her vital Yin and her blood was drunk by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Her talent was greatly damaged, so Elder Mo Hua didn't want her. Su Junqing had it easy. However, if Elder Mo Hua knew that Yi Yunji had the possibility of becoming a heavenly corpse, he would definitely do anything to get his hands on her. Not to mention her, even those nascent soul realm old monsters who had already gone to other spirit cities to train would rush back to snatch it. If Yi Yunji really fell into the hands of those old monsters, even if she could recover her consciousness from when she was alive, she would definitely be in 1,000,000 times more pain than before. Yunjioga was silent. How could she forget about this? The dead can't come back to life. Dead is dead. It's better to let her return to dust and be completely free. Zishang's tone was slightly regretful. If it was him, he would definitely think of a way to make Yunji his own corpse. However, Yunjioga was a person who valued relationships and was against controlling corpses. It was impossible for him to order Yunji around. Since he couldn't get her, he had to destroy her. That was why he encouraged Yunjioga to destroy Yunji. You're right. If she still had consciousness, she wouldn't want her corpse to be used as a magic tool. Yunjioga sighed and completely gave up on the idea of helping Yunji advance. This time, we need to get as many human-faced peaches as possible when we go to the little secret realm. These things are good stuff and are also beneficial to me. There weren't many things that were beneficial to him. The human-faced peach could barely be considered one of them. The pure blood chi it contained was quite useful for him to maintain his demonic energy. Chapter 310. Okay. Zishang rarely asked for things. Since he asked, Yunjioga naturally had to do it. She calmed herself down and began to prepare for the trip to the small mystic realm. The Lu sisters had already sent all the ingredients needed for alchemy. Yunjioga spent the rest of her time on alchemy, apart from her regular morning cultivation. Spirit replenishing pill, miasma dispelling pill, evil warding pill, beast repelling pill. She refined all the necessary pills. When she came out of seclusion, the day of departure had arrived. Senior brother Yunjio, Su Junqing has been too warm to us recently. I feel like something is wrong. Lu Mei came to find Yunjioga. In order to have someone to rely on in the small mystic realm, the two sisters had been getting closer to Su Junqing. They began to realize that he was up to no good. He's still secretly using the bewitching art on us, Lu Tian'er added. Her 9 Serenities Taoist body was especially sensitive to the bewitching art. Although Su Junqing only used a little to influence the two sisters, Lu Tian'er still noticed it. Bewitching art. If it's the same old trick again. Yunjioga's eyes flashed and then he said to the Lu sisters, "You guys watch him. Just go along with him for now. We'll talk about it after the small mystic realm. And senior brother Yunjio, you have to be careful too. I've seen Su Junqing looking for Broomchin recently. I don't know if he's up to something," Lu Mei hinted. She didn't dare to tell Yunjio that they used him as a shield when Su Junqing hinted that they would sleep with him to get someone to rely on. Su Junqing was probably planning to deal with him right now. "I know. These pills are for you. Keep them well." Yunjioga took out a bag of pills, not taking Lu Mei's reminder to heart. "Thank you, senior brother." The Lu sisters quickly took the pills. The more they knew Yunjio, the more mysterious he became. He was so good at alchemy he couldn't be the son of a hunter in the deep mountains. However, everyone had their own secrets. They had a tacit understanding and used each other to cover for each other. Only then could they maintain a normal relationship. "We'll be leaving in 3 days. After we enter the dungeon, try your best to stay by Su Junqing's side. If there's any news, inform me immediately." At this moment, the Lu sisters' importance was highlighted. After all, it was impossible for Yunjioga to get close to Su Junqing. She was afraid that she would not be able to control herself and kill him. "Don't worry, senior brother Yunjio. We know what to do." To the Lu sisters, Yunjio was 1,000 times more important than Su Junqing. If there was a conflict between the two, they would definitely choose Yunjio, even if they had to help him stab Su Junqing in the back. However, the prerequisite was to ensure the safety of the sisters. After Yunjioga sent off the Lu sisters, he wanted to go see Yunji again, but Zishang refused. "You've already alerted her last time. You'll only harm her if you go again." "Alright." Yunjioga also knew that if Su Junqing discovered the uniqueness of the night Yunji, it would be over. She gave up the idea of seeing Yunji and concentrated on waiting for the day to enter the small mysterious realm. 3 days later, the little secret realm opened. Su Junqing and Bailan led the disciples from Peak 2 and Peak 3 to participate in the training. The place where the little secret realm opened was a barren mountain 100 miles away from the Een Corps Sec's headquarters. At this time, the people from Peak 1, Peak 4 and Peak 5 were already waiting at the entrance, lined up neatly. Wolf Fong, Han Xiaodong and Han Xiaoxi stood together, looking at Bailan and Su Junqing from afar. Han Xiaodong was short and muscular, with a fierce face, dark skin and eyes like copper bells. He looked like a butcher, obviously not a good person. Han Xiaoxi was much better looking than his big brother. He had a medium build, pale skin and a pair of bright eyes. One look and you could tell he was a shrewd person. This time he was the one who suggested forming an alliance with Wolf Fong. Little brother Wolf Fong, you just advanced to foundation establishment. Why didn't you consolidate your cultivation in the cave abode? Why did you come here to join in the fun? Bai Lan gracefully walked over and immediately gave Wolf Fong a flirtatious look. She had been coveting this piece of fresh wolf meat for a long time. Unfortunately, Wolf Fong was sinister and cunning. Not to mention seducing him. If she wasn't careful, she would be tricked by him. This is a rare opportunity, so I naturally have to grasp it well. Wolf Fong replied in a neutral tone. This time he came to find the cloaked man who helped him remove the poison. Originally, he thought that after being poisoned by the peach blossom charming bone poison, even if he could remove it, his vitality would be greatly damaged. However, he didn't expect that not only did that expert completely remove the poison, he even removed some of the poisonous impurities in his body. After he consumed the foundation establishment pill, he successfully advanced and actually didn't encounter any bottlenecks. At this time he finally realized how powerful that expert was, which was why he took this opportunity to find him. Little brother Wolf Fong, if you want a chance, come find me. No matter what you want, I will definitely agree to it. Bai Lan said half jokingly, half seriously. Senior sister Bai Lan, isn't it enough to have junior brother Su? You won't even let our little brother Wolf Fong off. Your cave is too big, don't you want us brothers to help you stick it in a few times? I guarantee you'll feel great. Han Xiaodong laughed heartily. Although he wasn't interested in beauties, he could still freely speak dirty words. Senior sister Bai Lan's cave is too loose, I'm afraid even us two brothers won't be able to fill it. Han Xiaoxi also added seriously. Bai Lan's expression immediately turned ugly. Although she liked to pluck, she couldn't just eat everything. She hated vulgar boorish men like Han Xiaodong the most. Unfortunately, the Han brothers weren't to be trifled with. The eldest brother fought without a care for his life, while the second brother was as sly as a fox. Unfortunately, aside from cultivation, the two of them didn't dare to be interested in beauties. Charm techniques were useless on them. Moreover, although the two brothers were only at the great perfection of Qi disciple, the combination of their cultivation technique could release the power of a foundation establishment cultivator. Bai Lan didn't dare to brazenly provoke them. She could only laugh coldly, throw down a sentence of wait and see, and return to Su Juanqing's side. This woman isn't simple. You guys have to be careful in the future if you offend her. Wolf Fong reminded the Han brothers. Ever since he suffered a great loss at the hands of the Joyous Union sex hooligans, he no longer dared to look down on women. Little brother Wolf Fong, don't worry. We know what's important. When we enter the mystic realm later, we'll need little brother to take care of us. Han Xiaoxi said politely. When he heard that the ones leading the team this time were Bai Lan and Su Junqing, he immediately brought his brothers to find Wolf Fong to request an alliance. Wolf also agreed very straightforwardly. They were all clear of Bai Lan's strength. If it was just her, they wouldn't be worried. However, this Su Junqing who popped out of nowhere made them all unclear of his background. Chapter 311. This fellow Su Junqing had refined his own Yin corpse the moment he entered the sect. This made Wolf Fong and the others filled with envy, jealousy, and fear. So Wolf Fong, who always acted alone, had no choice but to form an alliance with the Han brothers. When Bai Lan came back, Su Junqing was directing the outer sect disciples in line. Everyone line up according to your cultivation base, starting from the highest. The 5th Qi refining layer is behind me. The disciples immediately lined up. The ones with high cultivation bases were at the front and the ones with low cultivation bases were at the back. Yun Jioga's cultivation base was at the 3rd Qi refining layer. He was in the middle with Little Fatty and Jean Lin. The Lu sisters at the 2nd Qi refining layer should be at the back, but after they joined Su Junqing, they didn't join the line, rather they stood by his side looking very delicate. There were only a few 5th Qi refining layer cultivators in the 2nd and 3rd peaks. There were only around 20 of them. There weren't many 4th Qi refining layer cultivators, only around 100 people. Brun Qin and his subordinates were in this line. There were around 500 people at the 3rd Qi refining layer. They were the core strength, but most of them were at the 2nd Qi refining layer. After all, Yun Jioga and the others had only entered the sect for half a year. The 2nd Qi refining layer was the normal cultivation speed for normal disciples. Little Fatty, why didn't senior apprentice brother Su bring his Yin corpse? Yun Jioga looked around for a while and didn't see any trace of Yi Yunji. Logically speaking, this little mystic realm was very dangerous, so Su Junqing should have brought her along. The Yin corpse sect's high-level disciples all have their own corpse refining bag. They normally keep their Yin corpses in the bag like a magic weapon. only taking them out when they need to use them. Little Fatty explained. This kind of corpse refining bag was much more expensive than a storage bag. Even if a normal disciple could refine a yin corpse, it would be hard for them to buy a corpse refining bag. But Su Junqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, so it wasn't strange for him to have a corpse refining bag. So it's like this. Yun Jioga looked away, looking at the dense crowd of people around him. He asked Little Fatty, with these 5,000 people going in, wouldn't it cause the secret realm to explode? Especially those second chi refining layer disciples, they felt like they were just sending themselves to their deaths. Who knows, the information about this secret realm is top secret. Even senior apprentice brothers that came out alive are not allowed to talk about it. Little Fatty replied in a low voice. Isn't your uncle the steward of the inner sanctum? Doesn't he have any news for you? Yun Jioga didn't believe it. Little Fatty was so gossipy. How bad could his uncle be? He definitely had insider information. Sigh, no matter how powerful my uncle is, he's just a steward. He wouldn't dare to say what he can't say. Little Fatty's attitude was obviously reserved. A secret that even Fatty, who was crazy for money, did not dare to divulge must be very powerful. This made Yun Jioga even more curious about the hidden territory. At this time, Su Junqing had already lined up. He turned around and saw Bai Lan returning with a dark expression. Looking into the distance, Wolf Fong and the Han brothers were looking at them with malicious intent. Needless to say, he must have angered Bai Lan. Senior sister, are you all right? Su Junqing and Bai Lan were on the same boat, so he naturally had to take good care of her. Those three fellows have already formed an alliance. Let's be careful when we enter the mystic realm. If there's a chance, kill the Han brothers. Bai Lan's face revealed a vicious expression. She wanted to get rid of the Han brothers not just because of the quarrel just now. More importantly, the Han brothers' talent was outstanding, and their future in the Yin Corps sect was limitless. Kicking away obstacles in their way was also a necessary skill for evil disciples. Okay. Su Junqing nodded in agreement. He looked very serious on the surface, but in his heart he did not care. His only goal in entering this little mystic realm was to collect human-faced peaches and raise Yi Yunji's ability. If there was a chance to get rid of the Han brothers, he didn't mind lending a hand. But if he had to spend so much effort to deal with them, then forget it. Bai Lan was also very clear about Su Junqing's thoughts. She didn't really expect this guy to sell his life for her. She glanced at the Lu sisters standing not far away and asked Su Junqing ambiguously, "You like these two sisters that much? I'll keep them for later." Su Junqing did not hide his sinister intentions. Bai Lan raised her eyebrows and looked Su Junqing up and down. She smiled and said, "Junior brother sure knows how to prepare for a rainy day. I'll need senior sister to take care of me." Su Junqing smiled. "Same to you." Bai Lan drew a line on Su Junqing's chest with her finger and smiled. "If there's a chance, let's have a good spar." She was still reminiscing about the bed battle last time. "I dare not disobey senior sister's orders." Su Junqing also smiled. The Lu sisters stood not far away and saw the flirting between Su Junqing and Bai Lan clearly. Although they felt that Su Junqing had a motive for getting close to them, Su Junqing's appearance was too good, and his personality was gentle and refined. Even if they knew he was not a good person, it was hard to hate him. But now that they saw Su Junqing and Bai Lan standing together, the two sisters felt disgusted. They had a wide network of people and knew many other outer sect disciples. Naturally, they had heard of Bai Lan's plucking technique. She would often trick the male disciples she fancied into going back with her. After sleeping with them, even if they were not crippled, their cultivation would fall greatly. This caused many outer sect male disciples to tremble in fear. The two sisters were now sure that Su Junqing was probably trying to pluck them to get close to him. Lu Meier's expression turned ugly, and her beautiful eyes shone with hatred. The two sisters had suffered at the hands of the evil sect's ancestor. What they hated the most were those men who wanted to pluck them. Lu Tian'er hurriedly pulled her back and shook her head slightly. Then she guided her to look at Yun Jiao and the group of disciples. Although all men in the world were dark, there were some who were not. For example, senior brother Yun Jiao's life was suppressed. So men might not have it easier than women. They also had to be careful of their chrysanthemums. Yun Jiao did not know that he had become the target of the Lu sisters' sympathy. She was listening to Little Fatty's story about Wolf Fong and the Han brothers with great interest. "I heard that senior brother Wolf Fong was thrown into a wolf's den when he was young and grew up with a pack of wolves. He could not speak human language even at the age of 18. That was until he saved a heavily injured rogue cultivator deep in the mountains. That wandering cultivator took him as a disciple. Not only did he teach him how to speak and be a person, he also taught him many cultivation techniques. Unfortunately, that wandering cultivator was heavily injured and died not long after. Before he died, he asked Senior Brother Wolf Fong to come to our Yin Corp's sect. Senior Brother Wolf Fong came to participate in the audition. In the end, he became the strongest outer sect disciple on the first peak. His talent was extremely high, but he liked to be alone. Although he did not have many friends, he was very loyal. He would never betray his comrades in the alliance. But if anyone betrayed him, he would chase them to the ends of the earth. At this point, little Fatty stopped to take a breath and drink some water. What about the Han brothers? Yun Jiogu did not wait for him to finish drinking and asked. Chapter 3:12. The Han brothers were also children with a hard life. Little Fatty shook his head as he told the story of the Han brothers. Although the Han brothers were farmers, they were quite well off when they were young. They had fields and land. When Han Xiaodong was 10, his parents suddenly fell seriously ill and passed away after spending all the money in the family. Misfortune never came alone. At this time, Han Xiaoxi caught a cold, but the family did not even have the money to see a doctor. Han Xiaodong sold himself to a landlord and used the money he earned to save Han Xiaoxi. Unfortunately, the family that Han Xiaodong sold himself to was not a good person. At that time, Han Xiaodong was only 10, but they ordered him around like a slave. Not only did they make him carry water and farm every day, they also made him live in a pigsty and eat pig feed. They beat and scolded him. In short, they were extremely vicious. Later, Han Xiaoxi burned down that family and brought Han Xiaodong to become beggars. Han Xiaodong's cultivation was high and he was fierce. He never fought with his life on the line. Han Xiaoxi was sinister enough, and was best at using underhanded methods. The two brothers were very difficult to deal with. No outer sect disciple dared to offend them. Yun Jioga still wanted more after hearing this. She asked little Fatty, "What about senior sister Bailan?" She only knew that Bailan was a loose person and had a very ambiguous relationship with Su Junqing. She did not know anything else. When little Fatty heard the two words Bailan, he could not help but glance at the voluptuous figure standing in front of him. Realizing that she was looking at him with a faint smile, he immediately lowered his head and said, "Senior sister Bailan came in through formal training. There's nothing to say." Yun Jioga also felt Bailan's gaze. She looked up and saw Bailan throwing a flirtatious look at her, as if she wanted to eat her up. Fiske. Yun Jioga looked away. The feeling of being teased by a woman was really not good. It was all Zishang's fault. Because there were too many people, Zishang did not follow Yun Jioga in stealth. Instead, he entered the mark on her hand. If he saw this scene from the side, he would probably be very proud of his foresight. Senior sister is interested in Yun Jioga? Su Junqing naturally also noticed Bailan's gaze. It's all right. Bailan smiled. Although she liked to harvest, she also looked at the person. If it was those who couldn't resist her beauty, it was normal for her to get paid for it. She didn't fall for it and she didn't force it. If she forcefully plucked them, then she wouldn't be able to survive in the sect. Su Junqing saw that Bailan was interested in Yun Jio and wanted to encourage her to make a move. But before he could say anything, a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy came from a canyon in the depths of the Great Barren Mountain. This was a sign that the little secret realm was about to open. Everyone pay attention. The pocket dimension is about to open. Grab your items and stay alert. Don't go in and die. Han Xiaodong raised his voice and shouted. All the outer sect disciples immediately raised their vigilance. This small mystic realm was not a joke. It was said that many disciples had been attacked the moment they entered. Senior sister Bailan, it's about time to open the mystic realm. Wolf Fong walked over. In his hand was a palm-sized stone that was engraved with densely packed runes. It was the key to open the mystic realm. There were a total of 5 keys, one for each leading disciple. They had to use them at the same time to open the entrance to the little mystic realm. All right, then open the door. Bailan didn't dare to delay matters. Su Junqing also took out the entrance key and went to the center of the spiritual energy fluctuation with Wolf Fong and the rest. He placed the key in the shape of a 5-pointed star. Rays of black spiritual energy shot out from the key and gathered into a ray of light that was as thick as an arm and shot into the sky. A rumbling sound could be heard. The air in the Great Barren Mountain seemed to be torn apart, revealing a dark entrance. Follow the order and enter. First peak disciple, follow me. Wolf Fong led the others in. After everyone from first peak had entered, Su Junqing led the second peak disciples in. The Lu sisters naturally followed closely beside him. Yun Jioga and Little Fatty also followed the group into the black hole. After passing through a long black tunnel, Yun Jioga first felt her vision go black. Then the world spun and finally she felt like she had landed. But before she could steady herself, she heard the sharp sound of wind from above and a fishy smell rushed towards her. Yun Jioga didn't hesitate to use her sharp golden bone spur to meet it. That was the sound of a bone spur piercing through flesh. Yun Jioga looked up and saw a black eagle fall to the ground with its chest pierced by a bone spur. It was the size of a 3-year-old child. Its beak and claws were extremely sharp and shone with a cold and fierce light. This kind of eagle was extremely strong and flew very fast. If one was caught by it, it could directly bring them into the sky. There was no way they could survive. F***ck, this beast is too treacherous. Little Fatty stood behind Yun Jioga. If Yun Jioga couldn't stop this eagle, he would also suffer. Be careful, there might be danger. Yun Jioga kept the bone spur and held it in her hand as she vigilantly observed her surroundings. What entered her eyes was a large brown wasteland. It was overgrown with weeds and gravel everywhere. Not far away was a large mountain. It looked close, but it would be fatal to walk to it. At this moment, the disciples behind her screamed in panic. "Ah, there's an eagle, help!" Yun Jioga turned her head and saw 2 eagles in the sky, each grabbing a disciple and flying into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they became 2 small black dots. "Calm down, get into formation and prepare for defense." Su Junqing hurriedly raised his bone spur and shouted. Some of the more alert disciples immediately raised their bone spurs. Seeing that there was no hope, the eagles immediately flew up into the sky. They didn't go far and just kept circling there, obviously looking for an opportunity. Su Junqing's expression was very ugly. If something like this happened just after entering the mystic realm, it would have a huge impact on the morale of the army. At this moment, a coarse voice sounded, "Senior Brother Su, someone killed an eagle. Quickly come over and take a look." Yun Jioga looked in the direction of the voice and immediately frowned. It was Broomchin. Broomchin warmly called Su Junqing over to take a look at the eagle that Yun Jioga had killed. It was obvious that he was up to no good. Su Junqing walked over and glanced at the eagle. "Who killed it?" "It was Junior Brother Yun Jio," Broomchin rushed to answer. "Junior Brother Yun Jio is only at the 3rd stage of chi refinement, but he's already so strong. He should be at the front. The front was the most dangerous." "I was just lucky," Yun Jioga said calmly. "The eagle's attack just now was too sudden. She didn't hold back at all, so she was afraid that she would be seen through. Junior Brother Yun Jio is too polite. Luck is also an important part of cultivation. Why don't you go to the front and let us get some luck?" Su Junqing said with bad intentions. Yun Jioga really wanted to refuse, but Su Junqing was now the leader. If she didn't obey, she would become a thorn. If Su Junqing provoked her, she would be in a difficult position in the team. She might as well agree. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.